EAGLES, Eagles.
All right, perspective. The Phillies scored 4 less points/runs than the Eagles did on Sunday.
Yep.
4 less. A 10 spot. How you like me now? Welcome in, everybody. Hump Day! Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, hanging out with you. Derek, I'm going to give you a countdown. 30 hours and 4 minutes. 30 hours and 4 minutes until Game 3 of the NLCS. And the Phillies, if they win, could take a commanding 3-0 lead after that win last night. What's up, D-Gun?
My man, that must have been a long, quiet ride home for the Diamondbacks last night, because the team that was smoking the Brewers and the Dodgers came in here, got outscored 15-3. They only had 1 home run after bombing away against their previous 2 opponents.
Man.
They couldn't hit the ocean last night. You know, you talking about seeing red. You know, we talk about the hunt for Red October here. They were seeing red last night because their eyes were red, crying all the way back to Arizona because the vicious Rattlebacks were defanged.
Defanged. I like that. I like that. Yes, what's up, everybody? What's up, Crowley, Daz, Jim G, M. Reyes, Tina, Fitness Rebel. I know Fitness Rebel's all over this Phillies. I love it. Our guy Dynasty, Sween Bowl. It's Joho, South Jersey D. If I missed anybody, keep it rolling, man. I'll get each and every one of you guys. I hope you're doing great out there. It's a fun time. Mood Swing Bella, what's up, girl?
Back in the hazy.
Good to have you back, D Gun. Tone did a great job sitting in the helm yesterday. Always appreciate Tone and hopping in. But yeah, I mean, Derek, that was a beatdown. That was a non-competitive smash job. And Mr. Taz, I got you, man. Give me a hug, Mr. Taz. I got you. I got you, man bar. I see you guys.
Always missing me, Rob.
I'm not missing you. The Vandalorian. Yo, what's up, Vandalorian? I see you guys. I see you, Raptor Strike. Playoff NOLA is correct. Raptor Strike.
Yeah, I like that. Raptor Strike. I like that.
That's a cool.
You like that? You like
avatar.
that?
You like that? All right, give me your impressions, Derek, because you know a lot of these games, even though the Phillies are winning a ton of playoff games, only lost 1 time.
Yes.
There's been a lot of sweat kind of games, a lot of all right, how did I get through this thing? Not last night. It was close for a minute, and then the Phillies just trucked them after that.
This team is in a zone. They are in a playoff zone. They are clearly on a mission. The big boppers, you know, Schwarber waits until the NLCS again, like he did last year, to assert his prowess. You know, home runs in back-to-back games. Everybody else is following suit. Alex Bones playing third base like Brooks Robinson and Mike.
Oh my God.
You know, Trey Turner's got to be in 7th heaven with this team right now. The pitching, you know, from Wheeler to Nola, you know, the bullpen bullpen alone. Where's that stat I put together on the bullpen? Dang it.
You had a great stat. Okay. Where is it?
That was for starting pitch.
Okay. I got, this is a D-Gun stat. I'll give you props. Philly starters, 6-0 with a 1.55 ERA, 51 strikeouts to 4 walks. That is,
I've never heard something like that.
That's out of this universe. Like, that's not even fathomable. Like those kind of numbers. What's up, Chuck? I see you. John Dickerson.
Hold up. Fitness Rebel. See, Fitness Rebel, you're not listening. I didn't say you were going to antagonize. I said Tina's back to antagonize. See, You know what I'm saying? How many times I got to say this? Like the movie White Men Can't Jump, when Wesley Snipes looked at Woody Harrelson and said, "Look, you hear Jimmy, but you ain't listening to Jimmy."
I love Fitness Rebel getting on you, man. She's the best.
What's up, the fees? It's like one of my younger sisters always poking me.
I like it. Keep it going, Fitness Rebel. Keep it going. Yes.
You hear D-Gun.
You on your toes, D-Gun. Come on, man.
You hear D-Gun, but you're not listening to D-Gun. I'm just telling you. You got to listen.
Right. No, but you're right. Like, here's the thing. We're gonna look at the home runs and all the runs they're putting up. The pitching has been spectacular. Like across the board, starters, bullpen, just straight domination. The pitching so far.
Woo. Here's another stat for you, Rob.
Yes.
4 relievers combined last night. 4 innings.
Yep.
1 hit. No walk. No earned runs. 1 walk. 6 strikeouts.
Damn. Wow.
4 relievers combined. You're talking about money. Everybody. Crazy. You can't write a more perfect script for what this team is doing right now.
I agree with you, man. It has been a complete team effort here to dominate the way that they have. You know, think about it, Derek. They knocked off a Braves team. Let's walk through the whole thing so far. You know, the Marlins, for whatever they are, always seem to have the Phillies number or give them a hard time. Yeah. And you knock them off in 2 games. And then you take the Braves out in 4, a Braves team that won 104 games that set every offensive record on known to man.
Yes.
You knocked them out in 4. This Diamondbacks team came in scorching. They beat the Brewers both games in Milwaukee. They win 2 games in LA and sweep out the Dodgers. They hadn't lost a game coming into this.
Nope.
And you've beaten them now 2 straight. Like, the Phillies are playing unbelievable baseball so far. They really are.
Aaron Nola, his last, 4, 5 starts?
Yeah.
Has been straight cash, as Randy Moss would say, straight cash, homie.
144 ERA last 5 starts. 144.
You know, we kept talking about how his financial gain is going this way. Oh, I guarantee
he's a rocket man right now, Gunner.
There are a whole lot of GMs sitting on couches right now taking notes of Aaron
Nola. They're like, tick, 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 tick. Yep. Oh, his agent is just doing backflips as we speak right now. I mean,
when you think about the money that the Phillies have doled out to put this team together, I'm talking about position players as well as pitching.
Yeah.
Do you think they can honestly afford Aaron Nola after this season?
It's a good question. You know, some of this maybe look, if you end up winning if you end up winning the World Series, there is going to be such a windfall off of that run, Derek, where you got in last year, they got to the World Series too.
Yep.
I don't know if management looks at that and says, man, we made X amount. We could figure it out. I don't know. I mean, it's a really good question. It really is. It's because he's now going to get in the $30 million range. Like that's where he's vaulted himself into that. You know,
we're looking at this Phillies payroll. This is like a Yankees type payroll.
That's what it is. It is that. Yeah, I was just going to use the same analogy. It is like it's Yankees-esque. You know what? And the crazy thing is too.
Yeah.
Almost every guy that they're paying the buku bucks to is crushing it right now. If you think about it, Harper,
right.
Turner,
yep,
Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, Wheeler, Nola. You know, all of the big boys that they spent on, almost every one of them to a man is delivering for them.
You know, here's the thing I love about this Phillies team. It doesn't make a difference how much they're up by. They don't quit. No. Prime example, Castellanos tries to stretch that double into a triple, gets thrown out at third. You know, you're up 10-0. You don't need another run. Right. You know the Diamondbacks quit, but that's how they play the game.
Aggressive.
He's hustling, head first into third. Now, granted, oh, my goodness.
Cave. You're talking about Jake Cave.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's Cave. I'm
sorry. That was not a thing of beauty, that slide, man.
I know, but I'm thinking they don't quit.
I agree with you.
They don't quit.
They got one gear, and it's great. They have one gear. This group, and you know, they're a combination. And this is this is where the gear that I hope the Eagles get into. They're not there yet, but the Phillies are in that gear of they're really good and they're on a mission because they got so close last year they could taste it. Yes. Now, like that's where they're at, and that's the fever pitch that you want the Eagles at. Talented team, but also mission because you lost with 3 points in the Super Bowl. Like that's where they got to get. They're not. The Eagles aren't there yet. The Phillies right now are hitting it at the right time.
Well, see, I agree with you, but there's two different scenarios.
Yeah,
And that's why I keep saying we got spoiled by that Eagles team last year.
true.
They were such a complete team, and they played such an inferior schedule that they just steamrolled everybody. Look at the playoff games. Who they play in the playoffs? The Giants
Right.
and a depleted 49ers team.
Right.
Okay. They steam. This year we knew it's going to be the road was difficult. And to be honest with you, and I've said it a couple of times, this team, in a number of ways, the Eagles, lucky to be 5-0 before they met the Jets.
Right.
When you think about how they got to the finish line against Minnesota, and games like that. But the bottom line is they found a way to get there.
Sure.
All of a sudden, the perfect storm went against them, and now we're sitting here, oh, my goodness, get rid of this one, get rid of – hey, look, it happens. And now on top of that, you were relatively unscathed injury-wise last year with an easier schedule. Man, you're like everybody's sidestepping landmines on this Eagles team. Now, how many we saw this after they went to the Super Bowl in 2004. We saw this after they went to the Super Bowl in 2017. Yeah. It's just the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it's like one of those things you can't explain on a spreadsheet, but it just happens. Weird stuff happens that next year. It just is what it is.
And now they're using rubber bands, super glue, gorilla glue, trying to keep this defense together and keep this team upright and breathing. Mm-hmm. It happens.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, it's happening right as they hit the meat of their schedule.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. And it's one of those things. And we'll get into Julio Jones. By the way, got a little friend coming back today.
Oh, yes.
Barrett Brooks will be joining us, people. Yes, B. Brooks will be hopping on for the final segment of the program at 1:30. So you want to lock that in. Anthony Sanfilippo is going to join us at 11:30. Gunner, Anthony did the double dip last night. He did the Flyer game, and then he walked across the street to Citizens Bank Park last night. It apparently was a madhouse down there. The soccer friendly was there at the link. I mean,
let me tell you.
No, thank you. No,
how many times did you and I have to navigate through 3 different events in that Bermuda Triangle there? I remember the one time the Grateful Dead concert.
That was the craziest thing I have ever seen. Eagles tailgates paled in comparison to what the Dead shows used to look like when they would play either at the Wells Fargo or wherever else they would be playing. It was insane.
Dude,
it looked like Woodstock times 1,000.
I can remember walking outside in the parking lot, and it's still in the evening, like 7:00, sun's still up, and just see a haze of smoke all across the Wells Fargo parking lot. And dude's like, "Hey, dude, what's up, man?" And I'm like,
"Yeah,
okay,
man.
This is straight out of one of these Fast Time at Ridgemont High type movies, man."
And like nobody was angry; they were just like, "Hey, man,
yeah,
like, all right, dude." And you would walk, you're right. You would walk out, and you're like, you try to sift through the smoke to see where your car is. You're like, I think I parked there.
My biggest concern was by the time you got in your car, you smell like marijuana.
I know.
And if I'm driving down the highway and I got stopped on a humbug, Mr. Gunn, were you smoking? No, I was not. Get out of the car.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm telling you, I wasn't smoking.
I know. Contact high. But no, it was, those days were wild for sure. But yeah, we'll talk to Anthony about that, but excited to have Barrett on a little bit. Skinny Barrett. Barrett, we got to talk to him about the weight loss. He looks great, man. So,
yeah, man.
We'll talk to him for sure. But yeah, it was a wild night. Let me give you this one too, Derek, real quick before we dive in everything else we're going to do today. So apparently, James Harden has not been with the Sixers since Sunday. And he was a no-show at practice today. And the Sixers don't know of his whereabouts.
Wait. They don't know where he is?
Well, they know he's not there. Let me put it to you that way.
No, but I'm saying if he's not, so we're assuming he's in college. Hey, man, maybe he went to one of those dispensaries, man, and got lost.
I don't know where he is. But here's the thing. You knew this was not going to be this smooth. Hey, I'll play and we'll see what happens. And you knew he was going to do something. We're getting too close to the regular season for him to not pull something.
So you're telling me he showed up?
He showed up for a little bit. He was, yeah.
And all of a sudden he's disappeared. They don't know where he is.
Yes, he's not. Well, I shouldn't say they don't know where he is. I mean, they might know where he is, but he's unexcused from practice apparently.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out right now.
All right. So, yeah. So that's that was only a matter of time. That's from the just waiting for this to happen category when it came to James Harden. So he is not at practice, and he was not going to cooperate. He was not going to be a good soldier, and we knew that was coming anyway. So yeah, throw that into the mix of everything else. And Tina's right. I saw Tina say this, and I tweeted this out last night. So the Flyers game started at 6, Derek. The Phillies didn't start till 8. So I watched the beginning of the Flyers game last night.
Yes.
Sean Couturier had an insanely sick penalty shot move. Did you see that?
Yes, dude.
Oh,
seriously. I mean,
he turns his back to the goal. I've never seen anybody do that. He turned his back to the goalie, spins around and finishes. And I'm like, what the heck just happened?
Well, I saw 2 people do that, and they both play for the Penguins. I saw Mario Lemieux in his prime to do something like that, and Jaromir Jagr when he was 18, 19 years old, and they just brought him up to the Penguins. I saw him do some incredible stuff like that. But you're right. I don't even remember seeing Gretzky do something like that. But I saw those 2 do something similar. But you're right. That penalty shot last night, you sitting there go, oh my goodness, are you kidding? Oh,
I'll tell you what, man. Anytime you're mentioned in the same breath as Jagr and Lemieux, that's good company. But yeah,
and guess who the coach of the Canucks is? Our old friend Rick Tocchet.
Rick Tocchet, my guy. I love Rick Tocchet. Yeah.
From what I heard, he laid into this team like. Now wait, we're only 3 games into the season.
Tocchet's old school, Gunner. He's old school, man.
They had just swept the first 2 games of a back-and-back against Edmonton, I believe it was. He laid into him the 3rd game of the season.
He wanted his team to give max effort against the Flyers, his old team.
I'm like,
that pissed him off in a big way. And Tocchet is not afraid to get after guys. I will tell you that.
No.
He's not afraid of that.
He's like a Tortorella. It's either my way or the highway.
Yep. Yeah. And Morgan Frost, healthy scratch because Tortorella wasn't happy with the way he was playing. So listen, there were 2 guys on opposing benches who don't play. I will just tell you that they don't play around. That's for sure. But good job out of the Flyers. They get a win. Yeah, but back to the Phils here. We haven't even really touched on the home run. So Schwarber last night with his 2 home runs, Gunner, 18 in the postseason. He's now tied with the great Reggie Jackson for the most home runs in the postseason by a left-handed hitter.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, Reggie Jackson we're talking about now?
That's ridiculous. We've gotten to the point with Schwarber where as soon as and I'm talking about watching it on TV. Yeah. As soon as it leaves the bat, when you hear it hit the bat, you're thinking, gone. You can tell. Doubt. You can tell by the crack of the bat, gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way this dude is smoking pitches nowadays, dude, it's insane.
It really is. It's such a tone setter too. Like that's the other thing I love is like even I know he didn't do it in his first at bat last night, but when he hits one, the place is just it becomes a loony bin. It's great. And if they all feed off of it, and Turner's hitting 500 in the postseason.
It's unexplainable. Unexplainable. You can't explain it. You can't. Now you've watched Phillies baseball a long time. You've been here a long time. People don't even sit down now. They get in the stadium. They don't even sit down. Have you ever seen anything like last year and this year in terms of fans standing the entire game?
No, I haven't. I mean, Derek, I was thinking back to the runs that I was a kid in 80 and I was there, but I was a little kid. I really remember 93 well. I really remember, we all do, 07 to 11. And it would, not to say it wasn't loud and crazy. It was. This is different. I'm just telling you, and this isn't recency bias. It's at a different level now. That the fans have taken it upon themselves to it's almost like a soccer or like a soccer match over in Europe where they're just loud every second. Right. Or an Eagles game, that I think it was Schwarber last night compared it to an Eagles game. He's like, this is like an Eagles game now. The whole game. It's awesome.
Well, they're going to need that kind of noise Sunday night with Miami. That track team from Miami coming into town.
Yeah,
they're going to need that because it's I'm assuming Jalen Carter is going to be back this week. Don't know for sure yet. They're going to need him. They're going to need everybody they can get and then some. We don't know the status of Slay yet and all this stuff. We do know that Slay had that PRP, shot last week. Didn't work well enough. Yeah. I would imagine they held him out of that Jets game. I would imagine certain players that were held out of that Jets game were held out because the team had to be thinking, granted, they don't overlook anybody, but thinking in terms of personnel, we got this. We got this.
Yeah.
We got a more important game coming up. We need all hands on deck next Sunday night.
Agreed. I think that was a piece of it. Chuck says that in '77 in the LCS, they screamed Bert Hooton off the mound. They did. And Chuck, I'm not taking anything away from previous eras. The fans have always been rabid. I'm just saying, I think this is just a little bit of a couple decibels a little bit higher. That's all. No doubt. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be the big thing, Derek, when you're dealing with these cheetahs, if you will. That's what Tyreek Hill is. But there's a lot of cheetahs on that team. When you're dealing with these guys who are Usain Bolt track speed kind of dudes, and that's exactly what Miami wants to get you into, is a track meet. You need to have everybody at your disposal. And I don't know right now. I mean, even if Slay's ready to go, at what capacity is he? And Jalen Carter, same thing.
I expect to see the Eagles DBs playing 12 to 15 yards off the ball. We always talk about them playing 7 to 10.
Yeah.
I'm playing Tyreek Hill like I'm back on punt return team.
Yeah, I have guys at City Hall lined up trying to Dude, so far back.
Yeah. I'm not trying to be on Tyreek Hill's highlight reel.
No, me too, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to look like the end of the game when somebody's attempting a Hail Mary and you have dudes just like 30 yards off. It's going to be scary. I think what you have to do, we'll get into this later, but I think you got to try to, as much as you can, follow Buffalo's blueprint. Somehow they held them to 20 points.
Yeah, they did. And they scored 48 on them.
Exactly. I mean, that's where it's all about. Every other team has failed miserably trying to stop these guys.
Was that a fluke night? Did Buffalo just catch the perfect storm that night?
Maybe.
Was that a wake-up call for Miami? Because they came back with a vengeance after that.
That's a great point because, look, every team has had one of those duds. Yeah. Eagles had it last week. San Fran had it last week. Nobody's without a loss right now.
See, Crawley X226 said, who's guarding Tyreek Hill? Let's see. I'm putting 3 DBs on him, an assistant coach, a concessionaire, a grounds crew member, and you still ain't stopping. That man's got over 800 yards in 6 games. You're still not. The only thing that can stop Tyreek Hill is a turf monster. That's it.
Yeah.
If he gets a turf toe or something like that, you are not stopping Tyreek Hill.
Listen, man. No, nobody's arguing. I'm not arguing that. I mean, actually, I'll give it to you right now, Derek. So he's on pace right now, Tyreek Hill, for 2,306 yards, which would shatter the NFL record. Calvin Johnson had 1,964. He's on pace to break it by week 15. So he would do it. So there's no, he's doing it in 17 games. No, he's on pace to do it in 15 games if this keeps up. So just to tell you what this guy, he's a wrecking ball against any team out there.
My biggest concern is this. Sean decides to send a blitz, and Tua picks it up and hits Tyreek on a slant route over the middle with very little. You cannot get an angle. Most DBs, and I mean fast DBs, you can get an angle on a ball carrier to either slow him down until help gets there or to get a tackle on him or an attempted tackle. You cannot get an angle on Tyreek. I've seen this man running like this. He's the ball carrier. The DB's up here. He kicks the second gear and just goes right by.
Well, I mean, look, and a bunch of folks are pointing this out in the chat, and I agree. This is a game where your pass rush has to be awesome. Like they got to be, and they have a pretty awesome pass rush period, but it's got to be awesome on Sunday. This has got to be the same deal where you're getting 5-6 sacks, and it's hard because Tua gets the ball out quick, but you have got to get to him. This has got to be a massive Hassan Reddick, and Reddick's on a tear right now. It's got to be Reddick sweat.
How many times has Tua been sacked this year?
That's the problem. I want to say 6. I'll pull it up right now.
I believe you are correct. And he's got 14 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions or something like that?
Yeah. He's been sacked 6 times. He's got 14. His ratio is 14-5 touchdown interception ratio.
Jeez.
So it's easier said than done. I understand, but I'm just saying if
it can be done.
Yeah, if the defensive line doesn't show up, the Eagles are dead. If the defensive line comes to play, you have a shot. That's it. I mean, he gets time and he lets these guys get loose, especially because the Eagles are banged up. Even in a healthy scenario, the Eagles are banged up in the secondary. So you're going to have to just hope. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, that they get the pass rush.
And here's a strange part. We not just we. When I say we, I mean the media in general. We are in such awe of Miami's offense, which is it looks like it's going to be one of these historic type offenses this year for them. You know, they're tied for second in the league in QB sacks also.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the thing with them. They're not just one dimensional. No, and they run the ball extremely well. They're number one in rushing too. You know, so they're a hard team. They're a hard team to handle. All right, let's get a timeout. Let's come back. We'll talk to Anthony Sanfilippo, who did the double dip. We'll talk to him about going to the Flyers, hopping over to the Phillies. A lot to get to. We got Barrett Brooks later joining us. A lot more on how you defend Miami, what you do, the Julio Jones signing, how much of a role is he going to play, what role will he play? A ton to do today.
I gave B. Brooks great. I said, "Hi, this is your friend, your former friend Derwin." He goes, "Come on, D. Gun." He said, "I call you more than you call me." I said, "Hey, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about right now."
Your former friend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. All right, let's get a timeout. Let's come back, and Anthony Sanfilippo will join us. Don't go anywhere. That's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. Let's talk about Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Yes, family owned since 1985. I've been going there since I was a little kid, and I continue to go there to this day. The great thing about Bravo Pizza of Havertown is fresh food daily. All right, 20 different styles of pizza. They have slices to go. They have the you name it, they'll make it. Specialized pizza your way, but not just pizza. Fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings, salads. Bravo Pizza is also committed to the community. They have fundraisers for charity, schools, little leagues, where the proceeds go to those organizations. You could follow them at the Bravo Pizza of on Instagram and Facebook for daily specials and promotions. They're located at 1305 Westchester Pike in the Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown. That's 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center, Havertown. Give them a call, 610-446-3810, 610-446-3810, Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
I remember getting my heart broken when they lost the Super Bowl in 2004. We're big Eagles fans. We moved to South Philly because of the Eagles. When they won, we went straight to Broad Street, and everybody was going nuts over there, and it was just a memory that you'll never forget.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back, friends. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Rob Ellis, Derek Gunn. Sports take on this wacky, wild, and fun ride of a Wednesday, that's for sure. And my man was in the middle of it last night. He was in the belly of the beast last night. Anthony Sanfilippo from Crossing Broad joins us. You can follow him on Twitter or X at @SanPhilly. All right, Ant, walk me through this, man. So you had the temerity, the guts to do the double dip, correct? You didn't do the triple dip. You didn't
better man than I am. That's
no football, right? You just
no.
you did
I did not.
Over the Phillies.
No, I only go to games that are actually count for something. Exhibition games, and it's not a knock on soccer. Exhibition games in general, I avoid.
Okay.
The only ones I'll ever go to spring training because it's in Florida.
And it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
training, and you can go to the tiki bar, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a little different.
All right, walk me through this because first off, good job out of the Flyers, took care of business against Vancouver. I want to start before I get to your trek from one to the other, but Couturier's penalty shot was a thing of beauty, man. That was awesome.
It kind of surprised me because he's never been a great penalty shot guy, and he did an interesting move where he kind of turned almost like he was skating backwards. It was kind of like a 3/4 skate. And I asked Chris Tarian, my partner on Center the Goalie, about this. I said, why does that move work? He said, because it makes the goalie guess where he's going to go, because he could either shoot it backhanded or he could do a quick move to the forehand and flip it, which is what he ends up doing. And he says the goalie doesn't have a lot of time there. It's almost like a penalty shot in soccer where the goalie has to kind of guess the direction you're going. And if the goalie guesses wrong, you're probably going to score the goal. So slick move by a guy who doesn't really usually do that well on a breakaway.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. So, all right, now I got to hear so you finish up and now you're heading over to the Phillies. Tell me how long it took you and just what the scene was, because I've heard from a lot of friends, they literally got to the Phillies game 2 hours late and gave themselves plenty of time. It was brutal.
It was the most unbelievable experience I've ever had in that complex as far as getting around. And Gunnar, you've been down there for big Eagles games, right? Yeah. Rob, you've been down there. I mean, there have been events that have been two events at the same time, or 3 events in a day, maybe 1 in the afternoon and then 2 at night or something. There's been craziness before. Nothing like what I experienced yesterday. I walked out of the Wells Fargo Center at 10 after 7, thinking I got plenty of time. I just got to walk across the street. Okay. It took me until 7:59 to actually get to my seat in the press box, which was 49 minutes to walk across the street. And it was because it was fine in the parking lot at the Wells Fargo Center. It was busy, but I mean, it was fine. Yeah. It was when you got out to Patterson Avenue. That's where the mess was at. There were cars in every direction. Like it was complete gridlock. It was like that I don't know, that little video game on your phone where you have to try
or whatever.
Whatever. It's like that. But not only that, you have all the people, they were just walking in the middle of the street. Oh. The fans were just walking everywhere. And you could not move. And it was just, you were just trying to, and then of course they have all the barriers up, right? So you can only cross at the crosswalks. So now you only have small 10-foot wide entrance points to sidewalks. So now you're trying to funnel thousands of people into this 10-foot little spot. And I'm carrying my all my equipment. I have microphones and laptops and everything else. And I'm trying to carry it over. I'm like, this is. I was thinking I'm going to stop at my car first because I was parked over in the Phillies lot.
Yeah,
I'll stop at my car, drop off some of the stuff before I go in. Couldn't do it. Didn't have time.
Wow.
There's no way. It was the most unbelievable thing. I never thought it would be like that. I knew it would be busy traffic wise. I never thought it would be impossible to move on foot. And it was impossible to move.
Made you feel like migrating wildebeest.
Yeah. You you watch I don't know if you guys ever watched that TV show, The Amazing Race, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes they go
Oh, yeah.
they go into like some town, whether it's in India or somewhere like that, and they get to their downtown area where it's hustle and bustle, and there's thousands of people, and they're like, oh my God, I've never experienced this before. That was what it felt like to me. Like I was totally surprised by the inability to walk yesterday. That's what was the most amazing thing.
I got to ask you this because I'm listening to you talk about trying to get to your press box seat, and I'm equating this to football. And here's what happens when it comes to playoff games. If you're a media person, you're on the field, you're doing pregame show live shots and stuff like this.
Yeah,
you get up there late, especially because you have such a large out-of-town media national contingent. And this is like clockwork in football. And I don't know if this you find this in baseball, but you get up there and you see somebody sitting in your seat. And these slicksters, what they do is they take your nameplate and they move it. And normally it's an ex-player from somewhere out of town that does
That's
this.
dirty, man.
It
They
is
do
dirty.
it all the time. And then you walk and you're like, excuse me. Now, see, they don't even think there's a chart over here that shows you what seat you're sitting in, right?
Right.
They look at you like, oh, this is your seat. My bad. I didn't know. You see 2 or 3 of them lined up doing like this because they didn't have a seat. They have access to get into the box. Now,
Not that you're bitter. Not that you're bitter at all. That's good.
Oh, no, it's like you're rushing to get in place, and you got to deal with these knuckleheads who know doggone well they don't have a seat reserved, and they try to play this game anyway.
Wow. Yeah.
It's the truth, Derek.
You hit a
It's the
nerve,
truth.
Ant. You hit a nerve with them. You triggered them
I'm
right
telling
there.
you, man, it's ridiculous.
Well, so it's really crazy because the Phillies press box is not quite the size of the Eagles press box. It's a little bit
Right.
smaller.
Right.
And so they're really trying to jam in extra people. Now there is auxiliary seating for the media. It's out amongst the crowd. It's down the left field line. And honestly, last year, I don't think it's going to happen this year, but last year I had to sit out there for the World Series.
Jeez.
And it was fine. I actually thought it was more room. It was comfortable. But yeah, there are people who would say, well, we don't want to sit here. We want to go sit in a real press box. And they'll move somebody's name tag to try and sit there. And they come in from out of town. They're not from here. It's not anybody that's local that would do this. And it's like, what are you thinking? I mean, we've been here all year covering this team. I've been to 70 games this year, right? I mean, you think I'm going to suddenly come in and not have my seat and you're going to be in it?
Yeah. They should get booted, man. I'm telling you, they should be out. They pull that stuff. It's unbelievable. All right, Ant. So let's turn our sights to the game. And Derek and I were talking about this. It feels like just a perfect combination of you're on a mission because you got so close last year.
Yeah.
And you are very talented on top of it. And everybody's sort of hitting their stride at the same time. Like it's like a trifecta of a lot of stuff happening. I mean, this is dominance that we're seeing from this team.
Dominance isn't it's historic dominance, Rob. I mean, they've outscored their opposition by 33 runs, which is the most in the history of baseball through 8 playoff games. They've out-homered their opposition 19-4, biggest disparity through 8 games in the history of baseball. Their team ERA is like 1.56, I believe, is what it is. I might be off by just a hair, but that's the second best ERA through 8 games in the history of baseball.
Yep.
And so they're doing it offensively and they're doing it with pitching. Mm-hmm. And yes, I know Trey Turner had an error again yesterday. Everybody's going to forget about that at this point, but they're doing it with great defense too. I mean, the plays that Alec Boehm made at third base yesterday were unbelievable. Harper made a great play at first base. I mean, and people forget it was only 3 months ago that he played his first game at first base of his life.
88 days ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's unreal. So like it's a little bit of everything that is coming together. It's not just the offense or just the pitching or just the defense. It is a team that, and it certainly feels different. It's a team that last year we went on a ride with that we didn't know when it was going to end. This year, it feels like, oh, you're coming on the ride, but we're going to take you all the way to the finish this time. Yep. It just feels differently, in that regard.
Agree.
I want to start where it's been extremely impressive. I mean, when you say the word impressive, you can hit a number of people, but I think the turnaround of Aaron Nola has been something that will be talked about for years to come. You know, all throughout the season, we're talking about what in the world's wrong with this guy, and his potential financial gains is like the stock market dropping. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, over his last 6 starts, I was joking with Rob in the first segment, Anthony, and I said, there's a whole lot of GMs sitting at home right now going, how much do you think it'll cost us to get him here?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, what he's done in his last 6 starts is an unbelievable turnaround.
Yeah, and it's funny. You bring that up, and he's definitely going to get paid this offseason somewhere. Whether it's the Phillies, and I think the Phillies would be wise to be really deep in that mix. But somebody's going to give him a lot of money. They're going to give him a 5-6 year deal worth at least $160 million, if not closer to 200. It actually goes back, believe it or not, Gunnar. And I did a story on this today. I got to talk to Aaron after his scrum yesterday, just a one-on-one, talking a little bit about when he first realized that things needed to be fixed. And yes, he had an up and down season, but he actually had a decent August. And you go back, like the Phillies are 11-1 in his last 12 starts, which goes back to August 10th. Okay. And there was one really awful start in there at the very beginning of September in Milwaukee, where he got just lit up by the Brewers. And he said, that was a start where he wanted to kind of figure out what was wrong. And he got into like real specifics about where he's striding towards home plate and where the ball action is on the glove side or the arm side and how that needed to be corrected. But how about this little nugget? For a guy who hated the pitch clock as much as he hates the pitch clock, and he was very vocal about it, and we knew that he struggled with it for much of the beginning of the season, one tiny little adjustment involving the pitch clock may have turned this around for Aaron. So he needed to stride more towards home plate. In order to do that, rather than when he looks at the pitch clock, look at the one that's on the third base side, because being a right-handed pitcher, that's the one that's right in front of you, right? So rather than look at that one, he would look at the pitch clock on the first base side. So just by the action of turning his head just that little bit more, allowed him to get that mechanical stride back towards home plate and then get the action on his curveball and his changeup and his two-seamer to get back to where it was. And so then it just started to grow from there. It was like, all right, we're going to get some ground balls against Miami and St. Louis. And then all of a sudden he had the start in Atlanta, which was great. And then the clinch the playoff berth against Pittsburgh. And now the 3 starts in the playoffs. It's been one very good start after another. And he shows you why he can be a top of the rotation guy for even the next 5-6 years.
And you know what, Ed? Here's where I really give him credit too. Look, he's been around a long time now, and he's very willing, to make those adjustments. Like you just said, that one, the slide step, which he abandoned years ago, he's reincorporated that. And even a guy like Corbin Carroll isn't running on him because he gets the ball to the plate a lot quicker. Like, that's a real credit to a guy who could have just said, "Hey, I'm me, man. I'm still going to get a lot of money no matter what." And he's willing to change things up.
Yeah, and that slide step thing has been huge because it's another thing that helped. If Aaron was struggling earlier in the year with runners on base, not just them stealing, but hitters were hitting off him out of the stretch. And again, that was a mechanical issue. But by going back to that slide step, it allowed him to actually control that delivery a little bit better out of the stretch. And so once you brought that back into play, and he said it took a little bit of time to kind of relearn it because it's been 5 years or 5.5 years since he had done it. Once that he got comfortable doing that again, that changed the way hitters are hitting against him out of the stretch as well. And it's fascinating to think that, here's a guy who's 30 years old, who's been pitching in Major League Baseball for 8 years, and he's still able to tinker with things to get even better than he's been in the past. And that's, like you said, Rob, that's a credit to Aaron Nola, the player, and how committed he is to being the best he can be for this team.
I can't get over the fact that, and I've seen, we've all seen so much baseball, and even teams that have been dominant teams, Anthony, I can't remember a team that has been this perfect through a series thus far. I mean, they've outscored this team 15-3. They've taken away the Diamondbacks' long ball ability. They're holding them to barely singles. And the pitching staff as a whole, this Phillies pitching staff has been virtually flawless. I mean, 4 relievers combined last night to give up 1 hit and struck out 6.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see this, man. It's like everything you could script for perfection has happened for this team.
It kind of surprised me even a little bit. Like I was pretty bullish on this team. I've been saying for months that it's going to come down to the Phillies and the Braves. I think that they're the 2 best teams in the National League. And if they play each other in the playoffs, whoever wins that series, I think is going to win the World Series.
Yeah.
But this kind of dominance has surprised me at how good they've been. They were dominant against Atlanta too. I mean, let's not lose sight of the fact everyone wants to make it seem like, oh, Atlanta's a weak team. They're weak-minded. They couldn't play in Philadelphia. This is a team that won the World Series 2 years ago. They won over 100 games each of the last 2 seasons. They're not a weak-minded team. They are a very talented team. The Phillies just happen to be their kryptonite. Okay, and they played really well against Atlanta. Of course, they dominated Florida in the wild card round as well. They are just beating whoever's in front of them, and it doesn't matter what pitcher is on the mound. I mean, look at the Marlins threw out 2 good pitchers in Luzardo and Braxton Garrett. They beat Strider. They beat Max Fried. They beat Zach Gallen, who was a leader in the clubhouse for Cy Young, probably at the All-Star break. Merrill Kelly had a decent game against them, but they still got 3 home runs off the guy. I mean, they're hitting everybody. It doesn't matter who the opposition's throwing at them right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's so many of them contributing too. It's obviously Schwarber and Harper. We're going to talk about that. Turner's hitting 500 in the postseason.
And nobody's talking about him.
It's incredible what he's doing.
He's hitting 500. Is that hard to do? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't watch enough baseball, but I mean, he's hitting 500.
Yeah, he's getting a hit every other time he steps to the plate.
And he's got a few walks in there too, which he's not a walk guy who walks a lot. I think his on base is like 536 or so. It's amazing to think of how many times that guy's getting on base, and no one's even talking about it this postseason.
And you've been around, look, this a long time, man. And we were talking about this earlier. I'm not. It's not to say that the crowds weren't nuts in 80 and 93 and 07 to 11. They were nuts. Chuck referenced in our chat 77 when they got Bert Hooton whacked out and he left. Yep. They were all fever pitch type things. But doesn't this feel, and I'm trying to avoid being the recency bias guy. It just feels a little bit different now.
It is. It is different. And I was in the ballpark during 07 to 11 for a number of playoff games. Mm-hmm. I remember 93. I was there in 1980 as a young kid, but I was there for 80 and in 83. I remember all of this. Yeah. And those were great times and the crowds were awesome. This is next level. And I think what's happened here is Philadelphia has responded to positive national media attention and said, we have to uphold this. And so now we're going to go out there and you're saying how cool it is. Well, we're going to make it even cooler because that's what Philadelphia does, right? I mean, you could think of so many situations where it's something that we embrace as our own and we wrap our arms around it even more so when we have a national spotlight on it. And so the fact that we're finally seeing fans get shown in a positive light on a national level, we're only going to embrace that more and make it even better. And that's what this fan base is doing in 2023. I mean, it started last year, but it's become something even more organically great this year. I was down visiting a coworker in the stands in game 1. And it's loud. Look, it's loud up in the press box. You get down in the crowd. It was standing right next to him. I couldn't hear him. That's how loud it was in the building. It's really awesome. It's an awesome environment. Fans are really bringing it and doing a great job.
Were you able to get in on the scrum with Schwarber after last night's game? Because look at what he's done the first 2 games of this series. It's identical to what he did in his league championship series a year ago. How does he describe how he turns it on when he gets to this point?
I wasn't actually in that because I was talking. They brought him to the press room. Nola was in the clubhouse, so I was in the clubhouse. So I wasn't actually in there for Schwarber, but he has talked just a little bit about he's a guy that wants to lead by attacking the opposition, and I think that kind of looked at the Diamondbacks. They had come in, they were undefeated in the playoffs so far. They were kind of feeling themselves a little bit. They had that 2022 Phillies vibe as the 6th seed and pulling off these upsets. And so I think that Schwarber's mentality was, I'm just going to go in there and I'm just going to, go after that first pitch I see. We're going to get on them quick. We're going to let them experience what this environment is like. And then maybe when they get hit in the mouth, maybe they don't respond as well because no one had hit them yet. Right. And so I think that's been Schwarber's mentality going into his at-bats in this series. Was probably similar to San Diego a year ago, because San Diego, while they were not, the 6th seed a year ago, they were a little bit more of a, come out of nowhere team in the sense that they had beaten the Mets and the Dodgers, who were teams that everybody thought were going to go further in the playoffs, right?
Yep.
So I think San Diego was a little bit like that last year, and Schwarber said, okay, well, we'll see how you are when you face somebody who's got some experience. I think that's how he approaches it at this point, and I think that's why it works so well for him.
Ant, the other thing is, it oftentimes, and maybe people probably thought this was the case last year with Castellanos, but it's rare you hit on all your big money free agents. And I mean, you could check every box here: Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Turner, Real Muto, Wheeler, et cetera. All these guys, they doled out major coin, are not just playing well, they're killing it right now.
The Nick Castellanos thing has been one of the great turns in Philadelphia sports, because a year ago, people couldn't stand the guy.
That's right.
He had a terrible year. And then in the playoffs, other than the 2 sliding catches in right field, one against the Braves and one against the Astros in the World Series, he didn't hit, and he had no home runs. Like, he was just kind of an automatic out in the lineup. And then this year, he's kind of turned into like this philosopher in the clubhouse, and he's always got something good to say. And even sometimes it's just like a really snarky comment back to somebody, right? I mean, but it's so like you're just trying to figure out what's Nick going to do next.
Yeah.
But he's embraced it so much, and he's embraced the whole thing with his son Liam, who's kind of become like a second mascot for the Phillies this year, and then how he responds to the fans out in the outfield. I mean, what he's been doing this week with the waving to them and the getting them pumped up and the bowing to them at the beginning, like Harper used to do. Playing catch with a kid in the first row during warm-ups. Like, I mean, it's something I didn't expect. I didn't see coming with Nick Castellanos, and he's a much better player when he's like this than what he was a year ago. And it's fascinating.
Anthony, when I listen to Castellanos speaks, it brings back memories, and I'm thinking he reminds me of a nicer version of Jason Worth when it comes to answering questions. Think about that. Jason Worth was a royal pain at times to get anything out of. I think Castellanos is a nicer version of Jason Worth.
Yeah, but it's interesting because there will be a time like you'll ask him a question and like he'll stare at you for a minute, and you're like, "Where's he? Is he going to be mad at the question, or is he going to give you something really good out of it?" Like you had that. He keeps you on your toes. Like you don't know what kind of response you're going to get from him. And it was funny. We were joking with John Clark, right, from NBC, because he's had a couple of those Castellanos interviews. And so yesterday we're waiting to go in the clubhouse, and somebody said, "Who'd you go on the field?" He goes, "Oh, I went back to Nick." But he didn't. He had talked. I forget who. I think he got Schwarber on the field. But like everybody was just joking with him because it's just like Castellanos gets a kick out of making our lives difficult, which is fun.
Yeah, he poor Matt Weiner of TBS. For people, you probably didn't get to see it. You were down there.
I've seen the videos.
Everybody who's ever done it for a living, being on the other side, just cringes when you see that moment, man. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. All right, lastly, and there is a sort of like live by the sword, die by the sword thing. They are crushing home runs at an unreal rate. We know that can dry up sometimes, almost like, you're hitting your threes. All of a sudden you start missing your threes and it becomes a struggle. Do you worry about that at all? Or do you think this series is in pretty good hands?
Well, I'm not worried about it for this series. I think that this series, there's no way Arizona is beating the Phillies 4 out of 5. I mean, it's just not going to happen. There's too big of a talent disparity here. Could it happen in the World Series? I think that's something you can maybe have a concern about. But Rob Thompson gave a great answer about this yesterday. The way someone asked the question in the press conference, they said, well, Rob, are you a little worried that, 50% of your offenses come from home runs? And he goes, well, what's the other 50% come from?
That's a great Rob Thompson answer.
It's the truth. I mean, he's like, we could get, we could score in a lot of different ways. And so, yes, the home run is a big part of it. No question. But he's right. They do drive in some runs the other way. I just wish they would be a little bit more consistent when they have runners in scoring position. Yeah. I think sometimes they try to go for the big inning too much. If you're looking for one negative or one flaw, they want to put up 4 or 5 runs in an inning instead of just scratching across that one run. In the playoffs, to me, the one run could mean a lot more than that big inning can. Yeah, the big inning is great if you get it, but I'd rather guarantee the one run than chase 3 or 4 or 5 runs. I wish they would do that a little bit more. If they did that a little bit more, I'd feel a little bit better.
Yeah, the good news is they were better last night, 5-7. Hopefully that carries over, but we'll see. We'll see. And good stuff, man. And we'll check you out, of course, as first off, Crossing Broad, but also on Twitter /X at AntSanPhilly, and two great podcasts. Snow the Goalie, which is phenomenal, and then Crossed Up with you and Bob Wackel. We appreciate it, Ant. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Talk to you soon, man. Take care. All right, man. Thanks. Yeah, good stuff. Good insight. How about that, Derek? So he left the Flyers at what? What did he say? 6?
He's a little after 7.
A little after 7, and he got there at 7:59. And literally, that walk should take you what, 10 minutes
at the most. Well, something you figure like the walk, get through the press gate, get in the elevator, get up to your seat.
15.
At the most 15.
Yeah.
on just a regular game, 15. But then he herd you through the chutes. It's like cattle, man. I've gone through that before. I know what it's like, and you get frustrated because you want to get there. You want to get there. You want to get in place. You want to get your stuff set up. You want to take a deep breath before you you want to get something to eat before the game, before you actually have to worry about doing the game itself. You get frustrated at a certain point. I mean, you understand, but I just can't believe there was a soccer game scheduled.
That's wild.
On the night of a hockey game, and obviously these games are scheduled possibly a year in advance. Sure. You don't know what team's going to get in the playoffs or anything like that. But the fact that it was like a storm of people down there, and you can see, Rob. That's why I don't do crowds.
Listen, I'm with you on that one. I would want no parts of that last night. And I give the Flyers credit; they tried to accommodate. They moved their game up to 6, as to not be against everybody at the same time. So anyway. Couple things here, Derek. So on the Harden front, according to multiple reports, he's at home in Houston.
Really?
Yeah. The Sixers are going to give him the opportunity to explain his absence before they start invoking fines, but he could be subject to a fine of $389,082 for every preseason and regular season game he misses without consent of the team. All right, the fine would fall under
$389,000 a game.
Correct. It would fall under the failure to render services clause in his deal. There's a minimal fine starting at $2,500 for missing practice. So that's just the $389 is games. He could be fined $2,500 per day for not being at practice either.
Well, didn't James tell us all that he wasn't going to play for the Sixers this year? Did he not tell you that the relationship between him and Morey is unrepairable? Did he not tell us this?
Yes, sir.
But see, I don't understand. Why do you make a fool of yourself doing this? Why would you even show up at practice? Why would you even walk into the facility in Colorado as a show of good faith? Because people are already on edge, like, James Harden's coming? He's here? And then he goes through a couple of practices, doesn't make any beef. It's not disruptive. Your new head coach is trying to get this team, gelled to get ready for the season to come. Hey, he looked good to me. I had a couple of talks with him. He seems like he's here. And then all of a sudden he pulls a David Copperfield.
Yeah. Yeah. But you just knew it. I mean, look, you just knew it. You just knew it. All right, let me just throw this out there. Jeremy Chin, the safety from the Panthers, who a lot of people, including myself, would like to see in an Eagles uniform, has a significant quad injury that is expected to sideline him up to 6 weeks. Doesn't need surgery, but he's also in the last year of his contract, scheduled to be a free agent. The implication is he may not be in a hurry to get back to a team that's winless right now. So does that affect things? Yeah, the trade deadline's October 31st, Derek. So we're under 2 weeks to the trade deadline now. Would you take a gamble on him knowing he'd be out 6 weeks? Probably get him for a little bit less. Maybe have him for the real stretch run. It may not be a bad move, even with the injury.
That's not a bad insurance policy, especially if he's not if there's truth that he's not in any hurry to get back to a winless team. It may force Carolina. We got to get something for him now. We've seen enough of this. We know the season is a loss. We've got our quarterback in the future. Hey, next year in the draft, we get a top defensive player in the draft, just like Houston did. Except Houston got both in the same year. We can get them in back-to-back years. What can we get for him right now? He's a really good safety. So
he is very good.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I need to know what his contract is, because if you take him, you got to eat the rest of his contract unless you can get Carolina to agree to paying him a portion of his contract, which I don't. If I was Carolina, you want him, you take it all. We're not paying anything. You want him, Howie, how much is left on his contract? I haven't seen his numbers.
I know he's in the last year of his deal. I don't know.
Okay.
His rookie deal.
And what's he making? So, I got to look this up in the next break to see what he's making. Is it feasible? Hey, look, if it is, go get him. Go get him now. You stocked up last year for the stretch run. It's quite obvious, we can all see that there's deficiencies on that defense, especially the back end. These young kids aren't ready. First of all, they can't stay healthy, and they're not ready in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You need to go get some proven talent. If you're gonna go through this gauntlet of teams and this collection of quarterbacks you're about to face, you need some proven talent back there to help you get through it.
Yeah. Yep. It's something to think about. And as much as the injury sounds like a deterrent, you might be able to get him cheaper. That's all I'm saying. You might have to go up a little bit less. So JM says he's making 2.9.
Okay.
And then you'd pick up, prorate that over however many games and all that. So yeah, I mean, just food for thought. It sucks he's got that injury. But 6 weeks would get you to week 12. You'd have him for 5 or 6 games and then into the playoffs.
So let's see. Jeremy Chin, 2.918 million. Prorated bonus, 342,995. Workout bonus, 75. They don't have to worry about that. His cap hit is 3,407,662. Not a bad cap hit if you got to take a hit.
Something to consider. That's all.
Something to consider. Absolutely.
All right, let's get a timeout. Let's dive into the Dolphins a little bit here, Gunner, and what they've done this year thus far. We'll talk about Julio Jones coming over here, what role, how much gas he has left in the tank, and does this hurt anybody else's touches? And we'll get into all that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis hanging out with you. We are Sports Take on this Wednesday. Let me tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because Jim Murray is the guy that you trust with your finances, with all the hard work that you put in. I know I can tell you from personal experience that that's who I entrust everything that I do with him, because he is that kind of guy. Whether it's your 401k planning, your insurance review, you have a small business, you need help with your employee benefits, that's another resource that Jim can help you with. Personally, I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be as well. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751, or you could email him, Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let Jacob Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio, or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call Jacob Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.
and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
We're back. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis hanging out with you. All right, Derek, let's set our sights on the birds here. Julio Jones, that was the news of the day yesterday, signs a one-year deal with the Eagles. He's 34 years old at this point, 7 Pro Bowls under his belt, 13,629 receiving yards. The guy's had a remarkable career, that's for sure. The question is, how much is left? He was also been very good against the Eagles. 50 catches, 804 yards, 5 touchdowns in 7 games versus the Birds. Last 2 seasons, 20 games played, which means he's missed basically 7 per season. 55 catches, 733 yards, and 3 TDs. So what do you think of the move?
He's a great name, who was a great receiver in his prime. He's been with 4 different teams in the last 4 years. He's played 9, 10, and 10 games over the last 3 years. 34 years of age. You think Julio's going to come in here and take touches away from AJ, Devontae, and Dallas? They only had 3 healthy receivers. They needed a body. They worked out a bunch of receivers. They decided on Julio. Now, he might be a guy who can help them with their red zone woes. I mean, they're at 45% efficiency touchdown-wise in the red zone as it is. I initially texted a couple of people. I said, why? And one person texted me back and said, well, Quez Watkins is never going to play. He's always hurt. So we needed somebody. Julio is a proven commodity, smart, crafty runner. I'm just shocked that they went out and got a Julio Jones. I don't know how much he's going to add to this team, to be honest with you. I hope it works out for him, but I have my reservations about Julio at this stage of his career.
I do too. I wonder, look, it can't hurt. You're signing him probably to the veteran minimum. If it doesn't work out, you can move on, or he doesn't play a whole lot. Like, there's no real downside to this. It can't hurt you.
No,
but I think people expecting him to be the Julio that you knew 10 years ago, he's not. And he had some production the last couple of years. We were talking about this before the show, me, you, and Tone, and I don't know that they don't try and maybe utilize him a little bit in the red zone. Maybe, he's got that big body where he could box out. But then again, I thought they do that more with AJ Brown because he's got that kind of body. Julio's bigger than AJ, but you need something. Quez is out. Maybe don't feel like Zacchaeus is that guy necessarily. So they'll give it a shot. To me, it's like if you get anything, it's gravy. If you don't, I'm not shocked. That's how I view it.
When we look at this Eagles team and we look at the pluses and the minuses, and we want to categorize certain things, was this a fluke? Is this a fluke, or is this a pattern?
Yeah.
It's definitely been a pattern when it comes to a lack of red zone efficiency, which is shocking because when you look at the wealth of options they have in the red zone, I am shocked that they're under 50%.
Yeah, 42, I think.
You look at a team like Miami is like 80% in the red zone. And an Eagles team that has that kind of talent should be nowhere near below 60%. Yet by going 2 for 3 this past Sunday, they elevated to 45%. They were down to 42%. Mm-hmm. So there's something missing in the red zone efficiency. A part of it is maybe scheming by the opposition, yes, but you should be able to figure it out. You have enough talent on this team to figure it out. And I think the Eagles, and Howie Roseman in particular, have gotten to a point, as they did last year with the ineffectiveness of defending the run, when they went out and got Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. They're at a point right now saying, you know what? Look at what we're about to hit in terms of competition. We cannot have this lack of efficiency. Maybe this guy can give us that missing link. I mean, think about it. If you step to the line of scrimmage, you have Jalen Hurts under center. You look to your left, you got AJ. You look to your right, you got Devontae, and in the slot, you have Julio Jones, and at your tight end, you have Dallas Goedert, and behind you, you have DeAndre Swift. Nobody should be able to consistently stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And arguably the best offensive line in the game. Nobody. But up to this point, minus Julio Jones, teams have done a good job of stopping the red zone offense.
This is where I really look at the coaching staff. This specifically, and that, you know, everything in general, you're kind of questioning a little bit. Everything and everybody. But are they really putting the Eagles in the best position to succeed? Are they being, you know, are they being too predictable? It feels like it doesn't feel like a lot of like Jalen's, you know, draws and Jalen sweeps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how about you get a little bit creative in the red zone? It just doesn't feel like there's any creativity here. And that falls on Nick and Brian Johnson.
I couldn't agree more. And I will say this, you know, I was giving kudos, as we all were, to Brian Johnson for his play calling the game prior to the Jets game. But now as we look back at that, I can't get over the fact that you had 55 dropbacks against a team that is a good, talented team that has a lot of talent on defense, but was very susceptible to the run. And I believe, as I said earlier in the week, susceptible because the offense has not done enough to give their defense a breather, and these guys were sucking wind at crucial points of a game. You played right into their hands. You had 22 running plays compared to 55 dropbacks. I don't understand why you didn't run that ball at least 35, 40 times against the Jets and do a better job of controlling the clock. The Jets couldn't score a touchdown on this team. They weren't going to walk down the field and score a touchdown with Zach Wilson under center.
No.
You gave them the touchdown. You gave them the defining moment of the game. The crowd was out of the game for most of the game.
They were.
Until the fourth quarter. When they got within 2 points, all of a sudden the Jets crowd came alive.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he throws that pick into coverage, that place went nuts. You gave them everything they needed when you had them dead to rights. And I'm sitting here Wednesday, I still don't understand the play calling in that game.
I don't either. And, you know, and I get it. Like, most coaches aren't going to say, you know what, we really blew it, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you'll get, hey, could we have run it more? Yeah. I mean, I listened to Nick Sirianni and I listened to Brian Johnson both. And neither one of them are even giving an inch on this. You know, I mean, they're just not. I mean, the second half, your running backs had 8 carries for 33 yards. And I get it. You're not ripping off big chunks here, but still, you've got to make more of an effort here, especially this is the other part, Derek. You know, in the second half, you're without Lane Johnson. I like my chances better of you having success running the ball rather than pass rushing if Jack Driscoll's really struggling to pass block. Let's see what it looks like in the run, you know, a little bit more. There was just so many things. Jalen wasn't on his A game in the fourth quarter, clearly. So maybe you don't have as many attempts for him. It didn't make sense to me. They could say whatever they want. I'd be really surprised if they don't get back to the run more this week. I think you'd have to do it by necessity because you want to keep the Dolphins off the field. But that was a poorly coached game. It just was on Sunday.
You're allowed to have one or two worse coach games than better coach games. That's your one. You have got to come back with a vengeance this week against a much better opponent, against a much more complete team. And your team is limping into this game. You're bringing in people off the street. Josiah Scott was signed to help him on the back end. Julio Jones is signed to help him with the red zone woes. You're bringing in people off the street to try to help you get this thing right. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Now, it worked last year for you. Now we got to wait and see if it's going to work for you this year until you can get some of these other bodies healthy. Mm-hmm. You cannot come out of games over the next 6-7 weeks and have the media and the fan base wondering, what the heck are you people doing? What are you doing here? You should have your identity already. To be honest with you, I don't know what the defense's identity is other than they're good up front. We don't know. After Brian Johnson was the highest of highs with play calling one game and comes down to the lowest of lows. I don't know what he's going to look like this week against Miami.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't. You should have some, whatever you are, you should have some consistency in terms of what you are at this point of a season. I can't honestly say I know that for a fact right now.
I don't either. Yeah, I mean, I think if you had to ask me what's their identity on defense, they're a team that can get after the quarterback and has done a pretty good job against the run. But beyond that, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they are. The linebackers have been they played okay, all things considered. I think they're kind of limited, and the secondary, it almost feels like they're just hanging on for dear life. A lot of times. And with all that said, Derek, they did a good job against the Jets. I mean, the defense did their job. They did more than enough for the Eagles to win that game. They did, in fairness to the defense.
Hey, not to derail you, but I saw during our last commercial break, our good friend from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Keith Pompey, had posted that, according to sources, James Harden is back in Houston. Unexcused back in Houston.
Yes.
So I reached out to Keith. I said, look, I hate to do this to you at the last minute. I know I do it to you. You have time to come on. Can you give us 15 minutes? So Keith said he can come on at 1 o'clock to talk about this mess.
All right.
We have Barrett Brooks at 1:30.
Perfect.
What do you think? You want to get him in there?
Heck yeah.
All right.
Derek, anytime we can enhance the show by talking to someone who's got boots on the ground.
Yep.
Let's go. We'll figure it out. Whatever we were going to do, we will figure it out. This is what it's all about, man. You audible and you make moves on the fly. So yeah, let's do it, man. That's great.
Tone, Keith is waiting for the invite, dude. So.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff, Gunner. And by the way, Gina Mizell, who is Inquirer writer, she's the Sixers beat reporter for the Inquirer, along with Keith.
Yeah.
She tweeted out about an hour ago saying, can confirm James Harden is not at Sixers practice. He also was not present for shoot around in the Brooklyn game on Monday. Source told me earlier this morning that if Harden was going to play in Friday's preseason finale, as he stated, that today would be important. So this is basically, I think, his way of going back on what he said, which is he was going to play in that last game. Here we go, man. That's all I can say. Here we go. We're in the first stage of this. This is like a Tour de France. There is going to be there's going to be a lot until he finally gets moved. You know what he's doing, Derek? Here's what he's doing. And we'll ask Keith about this, obviously. But I think now he's hearing the stuff. Ramona Shelbourne reported from ESPN, who's got her finger on the pulse of a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Reported that the Sixers and the Clippers and Woj did too are still very far apart. Yeah, they're still very far apart. So he gets wind of that, right? And he's like, man, I want out of here. I don't want to start the season with this team. I don't have a lot of time left. Like, clock's ticking. I got to pick it up here. And here we go.
If what Woj is saying is true, and Woj is on top of this stuff, that the Sixers have re-entered the conversation with the Clippers and they're still far apart, James probably said, hey, I thought you people told me if I come back, this would get done sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So James said, you know what? I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
Oh, boy. Oh, God. All right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here.
John Dickerson says James Harden's beard is now controlling his life. Man, this is a mess.
What a mess. What a mess. All right. Back to the Birds. Now, there is potentially good news here, Derek. We didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday, so just to throw it back out there. The Lane Johnson thing doesn't appear as serious as it did initially when he went down in the game.
Right.
And there is a chance that he plays in the game. Now, it's going to be pain tolerance, and we know if there's anybody who's got a high tolerance for pain, it's Lane Johnson, right? We know that. That is a huge plus, that this isn't, as bad as it initially looked, considering the guy has an injury history with ankles. That's from an injury standpoint, they haven't had a lot of good news, but this is good news.
When you look at the replay, Swift and a lineman landed on that ankle.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that ligament is torn because of his ankle history. By the grace of God, he escaped to the point. Now, there's a possibility he could miss Sunday's game, which I don't like, considering Miami's front comes after quarterbacks.
Yeah, they do.
And I don't want to see Jack Driscoll on that side. Now, if somehow the Eagles find a way to run the ball, and Miami gives up like 114 yards rushing, which is decent run defend, but you can hit them in some.
Yeah, they're 19th. That's not special.
Jack Driscoll is better at run blocking than pass blocking. You can't put the ball up 55-10.
No.
You can't have 55 dropbacks against Miami's fast defense, man. You can't.
I don't care that Sauce Gardner and Reed aren't back there. Like, I get it. I get it's tempting, but you have to stay true to the run to an extent. And again, if you want to move on from the Jets game, you want to keep the ball out of Tua's hands. So how do you do that? If you have long sustained drives, keep them off the field, win the time of possession, take the air out of the ball.
This team, this coaching staff has got to remind themselves every day leading up to this Miami game. The Jets were down their top 4 secondary people. The Jets were reeling just to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets, after the like under 6 minutes left in the second quarter, the Jets held this potent offense to 0 points. The Jets found a way to come back and beat you with Zach Wilson. The Jets got 4 turnovers to your none in this game. You have everything in your favor motivation-wise to have a completely different mindset. And I know guys will be up for this game. They'll be focused for this game. Right. But, dude, you're playing with fire. If you come in with the same kind of script against Miami, you're going to throw the ball, let's say 50-30. I don't want to see 50 passes from Jalen Hurts in this game. I really don't. Mm-hmm. You're going to let we talk about Eagles defensive front getting after Tua. Mm-hmm. You don't think that Miami front's coming after Jalen?
Oh, yeah.
Considering that Jalen, I mean, let's be honest, Rob. Jalen Hurts has not been that quarterback he was last year.
He hasn't.
I've seen him holding the ball too long, patting the ball too long. He's had to float outside a lot when he's looking down the field. Nobody's open. Teams are playing games with them on defense, and it's working in a lot of ways for them. They're coming. We talk about the Eagles defense coming after Tua. Miami's defense is coming. Mm-hmm. And you better sure hope you got a better game plan this week than what you did, or you're gonna get embarrassed on national TV.
Yeah, look, the defensive tackles for Miami are excellent. Christian Wilkins has got 3.5 sacks. Emmanuel Ogbah, who's a defensive lineman, has got 2.5. And the guy that we don't hear a ton about, Zach Sealer, 4 sacks, D tackle. Like, so this is a very good interior D line. I mean, this is no joke.
Now anything can happen. I'm not sitting there saying the Eagles can't beat the Dolphins, because number one, you have the advantage. You have them in your backyard in a very loud, raucous environment at Lincoln Financial Field. But you got to be on your P's and Q's. Mm-hmm. You've got to be on your P's and Q's with this team, because you're still struggling along. Through 6 games, you're struggling along. It's not fluid. And a big part of it on defense is because of the injuries. Yeah. But on offense, they went to a stretch 4 straight games. They put up a minimum 415 yards. Okay. How many yards they put up against the Jets? And when did they have to show for it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You held the Jets to under 300 yards total offense, and you still lost the game.
That one's not on the defense. For as banged up as they were, they did a nice job. They did a really nice job for them. Chandler Jones arrested again.
Now what?
In Vegas, he was booked on a charge of violating a domestic violence temporary protective order. This is the second time in less than 3 weeks he's been arrested on the same charge. Somebody has got to get this dude some help.
Dude,
he's still behind bars as we speak.
He's going to hurt himself in some innocent party.
Yes, sir.
The fact that this hasn't been addressed already, and if something tragic happens, you're going to have a lot of finger pointing in terms of who's responsible for taking care of this, who should have taken the initial steps to keep him from harming himself or others. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of backlash from this if somebody doesn't jump in, and basically strong arm the situation.
Not good. Not good. All right. So I just wanted to pass that along. But yeah, I mean, the thing about this Miami team, by the way, we're going to talk to Barrett Brooks at 1:30. But the other thing about this Miami team too, Derek, is unbelievable as they've been in their passing game, and they've been spectacular. Like, I'll give you two as numbers real quick here, but I'll get into that in a minute. But the big thing for me, I look at their running game. You know, even without what's his name, Akane. Yeah, he's out. Mostert, 429 rushing yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns.
Yep.
And as a team, they're rushing right now for 181 yards per game. So they're not afraid to mix it up at all.
No. We talk about how lethal their passing game is, but they have been very potent on the ground. They have over 1,091 yards rushing as a team.
Whew.
Now, granted, some of those jet sweeps, but like Mike McDaniel, very creative. That's another thing. Very creative play caller and designer in his offense. You know,
incredibly creative. Yeah.
And in most, the thing is, a chain had only 38 carries, had 460, averaging 12 yards a carry. And then Mostert has 75 carries for 429, averaging just under 6. Running plays, they have 12 running plays of 20 or more yards. They have 15 rushing touchdowns. So that's all you need to know. I'm not even talking about the fact that they have 26 passing plays of 20 or more yards.
Yeah. I mean, it is unbelievable. It is. It's pick your poison, with this team in a lot of ways. And it's been a relatively quiet start for Waddle. I mean, he's got 20, he missed some time, but he's got 24 catches, 296 yards. I mean, it's still good for 12 yards per catch, but he's been kind of quiet. You know, I guess when you consider what Hill's doing and what the running game's doing, numbers are going to suffer somewhere. And the Eagles go through that with Devontae, the last couple of weeks, I guess. But do you get a sense that they're going to make it a point, the Eagles, to establish Devontae Smith early in this game, Derek, or we just let it come organically?
I think AJ is going to be the primary target, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think Devontae will get his touches, but I think AJ, it's quite obvious, it has been for a while, that AJ is Jalen Hurts' security blanket. There's no question about that. I want to see what Miami does to try to take away the game from AJ. Now, I think, if they do something different defensively to try to take AJ out of the equation, then Dallas Goedert, Devontae, and possibly Swift out of the backfield could step up in terms of touches for this particular game. But I would imagine AJ is going to get a lot of looks in this game. You talk about a big body receiver who's difficult to defend, who's almost impossible to defend on that slant route that he runs because DBs give him so much cushion and have so much respect for him. Jalen has got to be thinking, I got to get the ball out of my hands quicker. I've got to get it out quicker. And who does he get it out quick to when he has to? AJ's always first.
Yep.
I want to
for sure.
Yep. I want to see Jalen do a better job of going through progressions also. Look, sometimes he locks in on that receiver. You know exactly where he's going with the ball. I want to see him do a much better job in terms of going through progressions and distributing the wealth. But that's going to be dictated by how well this Eagles offensive line holds up against Miami's pass rush. I was surprised that the Jets were able to get as much pressure on Jalen as they did. Now, they didn't get him down much, but they got pressure on him. They forced him to make decisions, whether he was in the pocket or outside the pocket, forced him to make decisions a little bit quicker than he wanted to. That's the case with a lot of quarterbacks. But I was surprised the Jets were able to do that against this Eagles offensive line.
I was too. All right, so let's keep this rolling here. We'll keep the Eagles talk going. When we come back, we'll have our NFL segment. Actually, we'll have Keith at 1. Is that correct, Gunnar? 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, you can do like 15 minutes.
Okay. All right, so we'll do a little combo effort of more Eagles and some NFL. Then we'll throw Keith on at 1:30, Barrett Brooks. We're loaded the rest of the way, so don't go anywhere. That's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, Jacob Sports YouTube Network. All right, let me tell you about Pro Action Restoration. Yes, Pro Action Restoration. You have a home, you have a business, you have a property you own. You go through the inconvenience, the pain, the unknowing of water, fire, smoke, mold damage to your property. You're not sure who to reach out to, right? Well, here's a good thing. Pro Action Restoration is on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I know personally I've gone through it. I had water damage at my parents' house years back. I reached out on a Saturday to Pro Action, and they got right over there. They cleaned up the place. The crew was professional. The price was reasonable. It was really a great experience all around. Pro Action Restoration is licensed, bonded, and fully insured, and they've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company. And again, it could be water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let Jacob Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio, or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call Jacob Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
We're back. Yes, we are. He's Derek. I am Rob. We are Sports Take. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll have Keith Pompey to give us the latest on what's going on with James Harden. If you're just jumping on with us, James Harden not at practice today. Apparently was not at shoot-around prior to the preseason game on Monday against the Nets. Sixers are going to reach out to him to see where he's at before the fines start coming, but we'll see. We'll see. Put on your seatbelts, folks. All right, so there's that.
Hey, man, maybe James had to make a guest appearance at the club. I don't know.
Maybe he's making it rain somewhere. Yes,
you never. Man. You know,
priorities, man, priorities.
Hey, sometimes you free your mind and your soul will follow.
Who you want? And Vogue right there. What's up, James? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you hanging out. James is a Commander fan, but we appreciate James hanging with us. And Barrett Brooks, our old buddy, is going to be joining us coming up at 1:30. All right, so we're looking at the Eagles, and I just wonder, Derek, and we mentioned about Jeremy Chinn's injury, but if it's not Chinn, and I know they just signed Julio Jones, but it just has for me at least, tell me how you feel. It feels like there's something coming. Like I don't believe that Howie and Sean Desai and Nick Sirianni feel like they can get by with this secondary moving forward, especially considering who they're going to be playing. I think there's going to be a trade coming. Do you think they will be making a trade?
I don't put anything past Howie. We got what, 2 weeks until the trade deadline?
Yeah, 13 days.
If anything, I'm always leaning towards Howie making some kind of move. The man never sits still, always looking to fill gaps, to tighten up weak links on his team. If I was a betting man, I would say yes, something is coming. To what degree? Hard to tell right now. Hard to figure out what they're thinking about behind closed doors. But I can see something coming here.
Yeah, and I think, there's a couple spots. Nickel corner certainly would be one.
Yeah,
there's somebody right now who they're going to make a move for.
Probably Howie.
He's coming. Howie's there. Let him in, Derek. Come on, man. The man's busy. Come on.
He's showing me the blueprint of what they're planning on doing here.
That's how you get your inside info. He goes right to the house. I like it.
I promise him ribs. He shows up.
I got it. I understand. Buda Baker is another name that's been mentioned a lot. And look, considering they're a team that's going nowhere fast, Arizona, that would make some sense. I mean, they're the kind of teams that you're going to be looking at. Some of the worst teams in the league. They're one of them. I would say them. Obviously Carolina would have been maybe there's somebody else on Carolina's roster, but New England certainly a possibility here.
Yep.
Denver is a team you're going to want to look at. Chicago is a team you're going to want to look at. Yep. I mean, there's about 4 or 5 right there that you want to dip into that pool, maybe.
No question about it. And teams like that.
Buda is on IR, Eagles fan, but he's not for the season.
And teams like that are always looking, when they know this season is hopeless, what's the first thing they're looking for? We need more draft picks to try to get younger in order to get better. And a lot of times to get younger, if you can get a 4th or 5th pick, those kind of picks are as valuable to a team as anything.
Yeah,
if they can have multiple picks in the 4th, 5th, or 6th rounds, that they're happy with that. If they can unload somebody who's unhappy being there, someone who is not going to help them for the duration of this season get better, somebody they might deem as a negative instead of a positive on their team, not an outspoken negative or positive, but by their actions, in-house conversations, you move on from them. You don't want anything that can become more of a distraction, because your losing is already distracting enough. So,
yeah, well said. Well said. There's no question about that. I mean, I think, when you look at the needs of this team, it's pretty obvious. I think defensive line, you're in good shape, whether it's stuffing the run, whether it's getting after the quarterback. I think your linebackers have been serviceable enough, and you're throwing Nakobe Dean back in there. Okay.
Yes.
I can live with the linebacking crew, but the secondary is the scary part. You hopefully Slay gets back and he's healthy at least, and you have him and Bradbury. That's good. Hopefully. And again, we don't know what's going on with the rib issue with Blankenship, but if he gets back, you feel pretty good about Blankenship. But the nickel corner and that other safety spot right now are 2 needs that appear to be pretty obvious for the team. All right, let's do some NFL talk. Let's hit it here. So a couple things to throw out there, and this pertains to the Eagles, by the way. So the Eagles organization, they have trademarked the brotherly shove term, which is AKA the tush push. Okay.
Yep.
The competition committee, Rich McKay, who was part of the competition committee, has talked about how they're revisiting this thing at the end of the season as well. They're going to look at a number of different factors, including health. It just feels like, to me, there's a lot of momentum built, like that this is going to go bye-bye. And for example, I think Rich McKay even mentioned when he was talking about this, like, there were a lot of people pushing for it last year, but ultimately it didn't hold up. But we went under the agreement sort of that we'll revisit. It just feels like there's too many other teams that don't do it well enough, that have an agenda, that are going to go hard at this thing to get it gone. Basically,
when it came out a couple of weeks ago that the league and the players union is doing a study on the impact of injuries with this, to me, that was the final red flag of they are looking at it. They're already planning. How can we get rid of this? What do we do to alter it to the point where it's ineffective for everybody, or get rid of it altogether?
Right.
It's just a matter of time. Obviously, they can't do anything about it for the rest of this season, but after this season, oh yes, I guarantee you, I would be shocked if there's not something that comes out of the winter meetings in March with the owners contingent saying that we have decided to eliminate this. Look at how much they've revamped the kickoff to reduce head injuries.
There's almost never a kick return anymore.
No.
No.
So this is next. And the fact, and I think teams are jealous. Look at how many teams across the league and even in the college ranks that have tried and failed unsuccessful. Just past the Dallas game against the Chargers Monday night, Dallas tried it near the goal line. Dak went nowhere. After the game, somebody asked him, "What happened to your tush push?" He said, "Nobody pushed my tush from behind." I'm like, what?
What? Easy. TMI. But yeah, I did think it was interesting. Jerry Jones said he's in favor of it. He did say that. He is a fan of the play itself, which is kind of interesting.
You better get some stronger offensive linemen and a stronger quarterback to try it then.
Very true. Very true. Hey, real quick, Nick Sirianni, when asked about Lane Johnson, his availability on Sunday, said, quote, "I would never count Lane Johnson out." So take that for what it's worth.
So it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
a
50.
shot. There's a shot that he plays. Speaking of Jerry, so I don't know how much you watched of Monday night's game with the Chargers, but at the end of the first half, Dallas had 8 seconds left. They were granted a timeout with 8. It was a kind of a screw up by the officials, but they were granted a timeout by the officials. And it would have given them the opportunity to take another shot at the end zone with 8 seconds left. Mike McCarthy said, "You know what? No, I don't want the timeout." And then waited till there was like 2 or 3 seconds left, called the timeout, and attempted a field goal, which they made. But it looked like a very conservative, game plan for him and call for him. Jerry Jones, as Jerry wants to do and likes to do, was asked about this and said, "Yeah, I think we should have went for the touchdown." Like, I love it. I love that he's second guessing his coach publicly, but like, how does that serve you well doing that if you're Jerry Jones? Like, I get it. He's being honest. Good for him. But
why, Jerry?
Yeah.
Why would you do that, Jerry? Why are you second guess? You already have a Dallas media base and fan base in uproar with the inconsistent play of your team. And as the top of the pyramid of that organization, why would you publicly come out and say that you're second guessing your head coach? That's a conversation you have behind closed doors with your head coach. You don't put that on the spectrum out there like that. Are you kidding me? What? But you're right. That's 81-year-old senile Jerry doing that kind of stuff. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get what the point of it is. But hey, he does it every week. There's something every week that comes out of that, his radio interview, or whatever. So it's all good. All right, so a couple other things here, and that's one that's Jerry's always good for one of those. Jalen Ramsey.
I'll bet you any money.
Yeah,
Jerry Jones' radio show is one of the most listened to shows in all of Dallas because when you sit down and turn on, what's the first? I can't wait to hear what Jerry has to say today.
Yeah, I mean, no question. I agree with you. It's a coup for that rate. You imagine having Jeffrey Lurie on? And Jeffrey Lurie's not, but can you imagine if Jeffrey Lurie was a loose cannon like Jerry?
No,
and you had him on a radio show after every game, what you would get out of him?
I guarantee you, Lurie has conversations with Howie and his coaches every week after games.
Yes.
And Lurie has come out sporadically and has said stuff. I want to see us throw the ball more.
Yeah.
He has said that, but nothing that leads to a controversy like Jerry Jones. Jerry is weekly, is daily, is monthly. He can't get out of his own way.
That's him. It's always going
to. Your kind of people, Rob. Jerry's your guy.
He's my guy. Yeah, that's a first. I've never been called a Jerry Jones guy, but okay. Jalen Ramsey, who is now with the Dolphins, you might forget that because he was traded there. But they're going to open up the practice window on him starting this week, Derek, but he's not expected to play against the Eagles. They're going to ease him back into practice. Okay. He's made really good progress from that knee, but he's not ready to play against the Birds. But you'll be seeing him soon, barring any setbacks. That's a big addition. That team doesn't need any more help, man.
No. That's a great addition. That's good news to hear. Jeez.
Yeah. All right. So The rich get richer, my friend. Roger Goodell is on the brink of signing a contract extension that would keep him the NFL commissioner through 2027.
Okay.
Reportedly, he is making D-gun money. It will be $60 million per year, according to reports. That extension will take him more than 20 years as the commissioner. He took over in 2006, and this will run through 2027. My man has made a mint.
D-gun money. Where do you work? Where do you work? Huh? What? D-gun money. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Pay me that 1 year. Just 1 year.
Give me a quarter of a Roger Goodell year.
I promise you, the only way you and I will communicate in moving forward would be by phone, or if we get together to have lunch or dinner or hang out. That's it.
We'd have an easier time finding James Harden than we would you.
What? D-Gun, I've been calling you for 2 weeks. Oh, man, sorry, man.
Change my numbers.
Yeah. I have my phone off, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it ain't personal. It's just business. It ain't personal, man.
Oh, my God.
Hold up. How do you think the players feel about what Roger Goodell makes? Now, I will give you this. Roger Goodell is paid by the owners, as the players are. Roger Goodell is the face of the richest sports conglomerate on the planet. Yeah. He basically is the handpicked, and I hate to use this term because I think Roger Goodell is a highly intelligent man, but he is the handpicked spokesman / puppet for the owners.
Yes.
He speaks for them so they don't have to say certain things pertaining to league issues.
Yeah.
I think he has done an incredible job in terms of generating more money for that league than anybody can ever imagine. Yep. I think him and his team are very smart at jumping on what's trendy, like streaming and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. There's no question about it. Their staunch stance for years about, well, we don't want anything to do with Vegas. We don't want anything to do with betting. All of a sudden they realized as the economy and the landscape changed, and guess who has the most money now? Betting sites have the most money. What?
Yep.
Betting sites. Somebody get me somebody who knows something about betting sites.
Yeah, exactly.
Every game you see, every stream service you see, every game you see on Prime, betting commercials. And oh, by the way, we're sorry. We look at this differently now. We decided to put a team in Vegas as well.
Yeah. It's amazing. Dollar bills will change your moral compass very quickly if you're the league. But here's the thing. There's not much to add to what you just said. Here's really what it comes down to. When people say, oh, my God, why is he still in place and why are they paying him all that much money? Look at how much money he makes the owners.
Yes.
He is – whatever corporation, if you put somebody in charge of that corporation and the return of your dollar was as strong as it is in the NFL, you're going to keep that guy in place as your CEO, and you're going to pay that guy very handsomely. That's what it is. Now, I'm sure the players can't stand him. I'm sure the NFLPA can't stand him. I get it. But the business model that he's running is highly profitable. And therefore, he keeps getting hired and kept on and extended and paid great money. Believe me, they would be paying Roger Goodell $60 million if he wasn't making them a ton of money. This is no charity here. He's being paid because he makes them a lot of money. That's it.
I mean, lifetime health care, helicopters, planes at his disposal. We magnify what he makes because he's in probably the most popular sport on the planet. But other CEOs, think about this in major corporations in America, they get the same kind of perks.
No doubt.
They get the same, helicopters. Some corporations have helicopters sitting on the top of the roof of their buildings waiting for CEO to come out and go from point A to point B.
Right.
The bonus money, the stock options these CEOs get, it happens across the board. It's just that but see, in this workforce, you're talking about a workforce that's debilitating. Okay. You're talking about a workplace that is life altering after they're done with you.
Right.
And in some cases, fatal. So I understand why the workforce is highly upset that he makes that compared to what they make in terms of, let's say, benefits alone. They're still fighting the battle trying to get lifetime benefits.
Yeah. Yep.
Should they have lifetime benefits based on what their company makes? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you put in X amount of years of service in the National Football League, you should have lifetime benefits, period.
No.
Health benefits, period.
No question. Well, this is a big thing too, Derek, in terms of health, not necessarily with the head injuries and whatnot, but the body. The league is looking into getting a uniform surface for all of their stadiums, for all of their fields. In other words, now some are grass, some are turf, some are this, some are that. It's kind of all over the place right now. And obviously the NFLPA is pushing very hard for grass because, we've seen the way that even this stuff, even though it's better than the old, garbage they had back in the 80s and stuff, it's still not good. So I hope they get to this. It feels like a little pittance of money compared to what these guys make, these owners make, and these teams make. Figure it out, man, and get everybody grass. Like, just stop.
I think grass is a better option, but players get devastating injuries on grass also. Yeah. But I do think from a player's perspective, they all want grass because they feel the ability that the grass gives when they cut. Now, you go from one extreme to the other. If you don't have the right kind of grass, all of a sudden your field is torn up. Yeah. Especially if you have pro games there, college games, concerts there, your field's torn up even more so. And think about the owners who've just in the last, let's say 3 to 4 years, put in brand new surfaces in their arena, in their stadiums.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. We just spent anywhere from $300 to $700 million. Now you're telling us we got to bring in a new crew just to plant grass and resod grass every. Are you kidding? Now the league might throw them a bone. Look, man, we hear you complaining. The league will pay for it. Now that may never come out. The league may pay for everybody to get these services, but when teams are averaging at the end of a year, usually a team makes, and I'm not even talking about the TV contract money. On the average, a team makes from revenue, sales, concession gates, $300 million just on that alone. That's an average. That's a low average.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me they're complaining about paying $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 just to put grass back in there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Like this seems too easy, doesn't it? I mean, there are some things where you say to yourself, "What am I missing here?" Like this seems too easy. So hopefully that'll be the case. A couple of injury updates, Derek. Trevor Lawrence could actually play tomorrow night. It looked like he was going to have no chance, but with that knee injury, but he's practiced. He's got a pretty good sized brace on, but he's been out there at practice, and they feel pretty good that he's going to be able to go. Man, that's a quick turnaround for anybody, especially a dude coming off a sore knee. So if I'm Doug P, I'm being very careful with this one.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, speaking of injury updates, just to give you an update on something that somebody sent me.
Okay.
As we sit here right now, Slay and Jalen Carter are good to go for this Sunday. It's still wait and see with Sydney and Lane.
Okay. I mean, all right. That's good and bad. I mean, certainly having Carter and Slay would be enormous, right? That would be enormous. But yeah, Lane and Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown, this thing's been pretty tough, man.
Lengthy. Yeah, it's been pretty lengthy with him.
All right.
So we'll see.
Okay.
All hands on deck, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Also on that same note, Raheem Mostert, who the Eagles are going to be facing on Sunday night, was the offensive player of the week in the AFC. But boy, what a career. What a weird career he's had. I give him props. I mean, he's bounced around a lot, including here, but he looks like he's really kind of found his groove there in Miami.
Sometimes it comes down to, Rob, just finding the right niche, many times, and I've said this so many times, sometimes players flourish in one system and flop in another. Yeah. And you look at how well-traveled Mostert is, he finally found a home down in Mike McDaniel's offense that has helped him shine. So kudos for the Dolphins for identifying he's the type of back that we need to do what we want to do in our running game, and for him excelling in it.
Yeah. And this is official now, Derek. Anthony Richardson will have that season-ending shoulder surgery. Too bad. He had a nice start for the Colts. He played well. But if you're Indy, if you're looking at this long-term, you get that shoulder right. This guy's got a lot of potential for you going forward. I think they have a nice combination with him and the head coach they hired in Steichen. So I think the future's bright there. And they have a competent backup in Gardner Minshew. Now, they're not a playoff team, but they played pretty well this season. But that's too bad for him because he was off to a nice start. And I would say he probably I would say Stroud has definitely had the best start without question, and then it
Yes.
would be him. He'd be second in the rookie quarterbacks.
This man is 6'4", 250, built like a linebacker edge rusher, and one good shot put him out for the season. You know, when I keep telling people, or when I say in different formats, I don't want to see Jalen Hurts running as much as he does, opening himself up for unnecessary shots. You know, people want to fire back. Oh, D-Gun, you worry too much. He's not going to get hurt. You know what? Every quarterback can get hurt.
Yeah.
You know,
Carson Wentz was a big man.
Hey, did he get tattooed?
Yeah.
RG3 lost his career because he was a running quarterback.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson missed 7 games last year because he's that running quarterback.
Yep.
Now, quarterbacks are more mobile, more agile, more athletic than ever before across the board in the NFL, but I don't want to see my quarterback being my leading rusher. I don't want to see my quarterback leading the team in carries.
No.
I don't want to see that.
No, I agree.
Because it only takes one good hit, as we saw. First of all, Anthony Richardson went from a concussion and then came back and got leveled on the play, got slammed.
Yep.
Man, 6'4", 250. Can't say that enough.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is what, 6'2", 215, 220 maybe?
Yeah. Maybe a little shorter, maybe a little bit more stout. But yeah, you're right. I mean, same ballpark. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got running backs back there. You got Swift. You got Boston. Hey, we saw Boston Scott sighting on Sunday.
Right.
Boston Scott.
Yeah, he got a little touch. Yeah. All of a sudden.
You got Gainwell. Well, you get White, turn and give the ball off. That's what they get paid for.
I got you. Kyler Murray, they have opened up the 21-day practice window with him. So he will start practicing as they ramp him up for a comeback.
Tell a Smurf to stay home. Tell Smurf to stay home. We don't need you.
Hey, listen.
We can lose without you.
You're preaching to the choir with that one. I don't love him as a player, and I don't like the body language, man. I don't like he's a finger pointer. That's not a good thing at that position. All right, we'll hit some other NFL stuff, but when we come back, we'll get the latest on what's happening with James Harden from Keith Pompey of the Inquirer, who covers the Sixers for the Yankee. And then at 1:30, it'll be our old buddy Barrett Brooks. So we got a lot more in store. Don't go anywhere. That's Derek. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, Jacob Sports YouTube Network. All right, Flynn Tree Services. Yes, Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem that you may face, and they are experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. You could go to their Facebook or their Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
For the big story on Action News,
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
All right, we're back on a busy day, man. Phillies put up a 10 spot. Eagles have Miami coming up, but Sixers in the news as well. And we appreciate our next guest hopping on very short notice as he does. We always appreciate his contributions to the show, and he does an excellent job covering the team for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and that would be our friend Keith Pompey. Keith, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How you guys doing? Hey, look, you know what's funny though?
What?
So just because I see Derek laughing. So today's my daughter's birthday, like her 13th birthday.
Oh.
So it's like a milestone birthday.
That's a big,
right?
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I normally don't like doing it, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna take off today, is right, and I'm just gonna, wife and I, we're gonna do stuff for the daughter, this and that, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey babe,
we've all been there.
Stuff to do before she gets home from school. Before my daughter gets home from school, it's like it's always something, you know.
Man, I know. We are, aren't we? We're in the age of 24/7, man.
Yes.
We really are 365. That is for sure, Keith. We won't keep you long. It's a big day. We know that.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to your daughter. By the way.
Oh, thank you. Sure, appreciate it.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to make that call and cancel plans for a family event or going to see a kids game, reroute a birthday party. It's, luckily we're blessed to have wives who understand, because there's a lot of people in our industry, stuff like that causes a lot of tension. But
yes, sir.
But luckily we're blessed to have, as frustrating as it can be, wives that understand what we go through.
Well said, D-Gun. All right, so Keith, Harden is not at practice today.
Mm-hmm.
He was not at shoot around on Monday. So I guess I want to kind of work back a touch. Did they think he was going to be at shoot? Even we knew he wasn't playing in the game. Did they think he was going to be at shoot around? Have they had any contact with him? Did they know this was coming, or is this out of the blue?
Yeah, I don't think they expected him to be at shoot around because, Joel Embiid wasn't there either, right? It was one of those things where, Harden was at practice. Like, Harden was at practice on Sunday. The team hops on the train. They're going to have a shoot around on Monday. He's already cleared from that game, and they were going to be off on Tuesday. Okay. So you look at it as, okay, we're going to give this guy 2 days off. He'll come back on today, Wednesday, and he'll ramp it up, as they say, to get prepared. So where they were caught off guard was the fact that he just didn't show up today. You know what I mean? Because Joel Embiid and him both had Monday and Tuesday off. The team had Tuesday off, but he and Joel had Monday off as well.
But not just showing up, but he's back in Houston.
Yeah,
He's just. I mean, did this? You're there with the team, and from what you can gather, did the Sixers any way, shape, or form feel that this could be mended in any way?
I think they do. I think that James said it can't, right? But when you look at it, if you walk in the gym and you see how James is working out with the assistant coach, Rico Hines, who he's had a relationship with. There are several other coaches who were in the Houston Rockets system who James had a relationship with. They're all laughing, they're joking, at least when the media comes in, right? So it's one of those things where you look at it and you say, well, there's nobody else really interested in besides the Clippers, maybe we could wear James down. You know what I mean? Like one of those things, like, you keep nudging, he sees how everything could be great, and then he feels like, hey, you know what? This might be my best chance to win a championship or to get paid next year by playing here. So I feel like that they, in the back of their head, some of them might have said, nah, I know James enough. But I think that by the way that he was acting, that they felt as if that this could be something that could be repairable.
Keith, how much of this is, and you tell me, I mean, somebody like Woj or somebody else put something out saying they're still far apart with the Clippers or whatever, and then James simply just reacting to something like that. Is it that, am I simplifying things a little bit too much with where things are right now?
It could be. I mean, like I did a story this weekend. I spoke to a source who close to the situation, somebody who knows, and the guy told me, he was like, look, Keith, the Clippers are doing their part. They want to make this happen quick, fast, in a hurry. Daryl Morey is the one holding it up. So if you're like James Harden and you're looking and you're reading stuff like this, or you see stuff, then you think like, yo, hold up. The Clippers want to make a deal. Mm-hmm. What are you waiting for? Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can see him seeing stuff from the media and making it go that way. And let's face it, James came back and he was the perfect teammate. Why? Because he wanted to get traded. That's the best way. And then if you're not going to get traded, then sometimes I guess you have to reassess things and try to make a way to where you are, where you can get traded.
Mm-hmm. You see, Keith, we hear that the Clippers and the Sixers are still far apart. Now, what I would like to know, and I don't know how much insight you have on this, what the heck are the Sixers asking? Because if I'm the Clippers, I'm thinking, I'm not giving you anything that's going to make us worse, even if you want us to take James Harden. Now, we have a certain nucleus that can't be touched. You got to work within that parameter.
Yeah. The one guy who I talked to, he doesn't think that when I talked to him and I asked him a question, I said, do you think the Sixers are serious? And he said, I don't. He doesn't think they're serious, because the thing is, the one person that they like, okay, for instance, what the Sixers want, and a source told me what the Clippers are willing to offer are expiring contracts. So the Sixers want to make this push next season. They also want to offer the Sixers, first round picks, but really a pick swap, because the Sixers don't want the Clippers draft picks because they don't think the draft picks are going to be that good. Mm-hmm. But what the Sixers do want is they'll take a pick swap, but they want 2 firsts, but they want them from a different team. Like they want them to be good enough first round bad draft picks to where they can give to a team that will be able to bring in an all-star level type player, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the Sixers also keep getting caught up on Terrence Mann. And from my source told me that they're not giving up Terrence Mann. And the Sixers know that. And it's like, why would you want Terrence Mann? Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So from that point, it's kind of like, I guess you can say they feel like that they're asking for stuff that they know they're not going to get, if that makes sense.
Because they really don't want to move them.
Because they don't want to move them. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, does Morey really think that James Harden's going to play ball here and be a good soldier, Keith? I mean, we know he's not that guy. Like, why is Daryl? Is he just he just can't see the forest through the trees with this?
Could be. I mean, I think that. But also I think it's bigger than that. I think that, like, it's one of those things where right now, can you afford, like, this Sixers, the championship window is getting ready to close, right? And can you afford to get rid of James Harden for what you consider a bag of peanuts? And then all of a sudden there people are looking at you like, you're the one who brought him in here, and you could have gotten more for Ben Simmons a year ago or 2 years ago. And now you traded essentially Ben Simmons for a guy who you got expiring contracts and late first round picks for. Mm-hmm. So I feel like when you talk about that, it's one of those things where he is under the sense like I got to win this thing or I got to make a pretty good deal. You know what I mean? And then you think about it, the longer you wait, let's just say it, like the longer you wait, a team could possibly get desperate and say, okay, we'll give you what you want. You know what I mean? Like right now, you don't want to like just get rid of the guy for the sake of getting rid of him. And then everybody's going to look at Daryl. Like, I think Daryl's in a tough spot right now.
But isn't that what it's going to come down to? Basically, I think Harden's got him over a barrel. No, if I'm a team out there and the Sixers call me, my mindset has to be they're in a desperation mode. This thing has become so public. They're in a desperation mode. We don't have to negotiate with them fairly because they're between a rock and a hard place. They got to get rid of this dude because they're stuck with egg on their face. He's not going to play for them. We can give them lesser to get him.
I agree 100%. I do. I agree 100%. And, you know, it could, because that's what James is hoping. But you know what? I agree with you. But I also think the best thing that can happen to the Sixers is if that James Harden decides to stay away. Right. And the reason being is like if James Harden says, I stay away, you know what? You could possibly fine him. You can do whatever you want. But if he stays away, I don't even know if I would fine him because I want him to continue to stay. But if he stays away, if moving forward for the culture of the team, if you're Nick Nurse, you won't have that distraction. You can go ahead and you can try to, like the guys who are there, you can try to get an offense and system with them. And then behind closed doors, you're working out a deal to get rid of James. The moment that James shows back up, because he's telling you that I'm about to make things uncomfortable. The moment he makes things uncomfortable and he shows up, then all the things you're talking about, we got to wait it out, we got to do this, we got to do that, you definitely lost it because James is just going to make it as uncomfortable as possible. So if I'm the Sixers, stay away, James. Stay in Houston. We're not going to find you. We're not going to do anything because the moment he comes back, it could get ugly.
Well, do you, Keith, you're there every day. How has Nick Nurse sort of traversed this thing so far? Like, how has he handled it? You know, isn't it a totally different deal if he's not running the offense? Like, how has he handled everything sort of day to day here? And we're not that far away from real games, too. I mean, what's there, one preseason game left?
I think under the circumstances, Nick has done a great job. I really have. I mean, I felt like, his personality, the way he's doing things, you know, he had a talk with James before the first practice as James showed up. But I feel like Nick is the right guy for this just because, you know, he's going at it with two mindsets. We're going at it like, hey, if James plays, he plays. We work something out. If James doesn't play, we're going to work on some other things. We have a different offense. And then also I think that the fact that Nick has been in the G League, that he's played overseas, he's been dealing with these type of distractions before, like not knowing who's going to be here, who's not going to be here. So I felt like Nick's done a great job. And let's face it, Nick Nurse's job isn't the one that's on the line over this. He's a new coach. He's inherited this situation. So it's not him. He can go ahead and coach whatever. Look, if the team, if James makes this a huge distraction, we're not going to say, oh my gosh, Nick Nurse blew a lead. Nick Nurse did that. Oh, the team is like they're below 500 or they're the fifth seed. No, it's going to go on Daryl Morey. So I think Nick is handling it well, and not only that, there's no pressure on Nick Nurse.
I'm waiting to see because you know it's coming. I'm waiting to see for Embiid to get tired of being asked all the questions about this, and he speaks his mind as he did with Ben Simmons finally when they were going through that mess with Ben Simmons. That's when to me that's the telling tale of what this season could look like once Joel speaks out about this.
Yeah, you're exactly right because that's the telling tale of also not just this season, but it could be the future of the organization because. You know, once Joel gets fed up or he says the things that everybody expect him to say, then all of a sudden there's going to be other teams around the league talking about, hey, look, are y'all ready to get rid of Joel? And we got the assets to help you guys reboot. You know what I mean? So that's not just this season, it's the future. Once Joel says what he says, you know, the Sixers will learn the direction that I'm moving forward.
All right, we promise we get you in and out of here quick, Keith. So go celebrate the birthday and whatever else craziness comes.
It's over. I feel sorry for her, but we'll be all right.
Hey, I promise you, I'll try in the future not to hit you at the last minute. The last two times.
Anytime. Yeah, anytime. Like, I appreciate you guys reaching out to me. I really do.
Yeah.
All right, bro.
Thanks. Have a great day. All right, Keith.
Right.
Take care,
Thanks,
man.
y'all.
All right, appreciate it. That is Keith Pompey. Always a great read. Always the pulse on what's going on with the team. And if you can, follow him on Twitter X at Pompey on Sixers. That's how you follow him. And of course, his work is at theinquirer.com. So check him out. But,
real quick, speaking of Harden, so I told you I was going to reach out to try to find more about it over an hour ago.
Yeah.
So I reached out with somebody close to the team. And I said, hey, man, I said, man, what's up with your boy Harden, man? What's he doing? And I said, you need to get on top of this. And they text me back and they said, D-Gun, I'm away. I was away at a funeral. What are you talking about?
No.
I sent him the
oh,
picture.
he didn't even know this person. Didn't even know what was going on.
And this is the person that's in the know about everything that goes on. So he goes, what? He goes, I'm just now reading this message. Oh. He goes, I'll get back to you later. Like, so I've heard back from him yet.
Wow. Oh, can you imagine? Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
But here's the thing, Derek, you had to know this was coming. If you're the Sixers organization, he wasn't going to play nice. He's never played nice anywhere. Even if we look at it, you and I can sit here on the outside and say, it makes sense for him to be a good soldier, go in there and play well. Everybody sees that he's dedicated to this year, even in a tough spot. Let's make a trade. Let's get him. Blah, 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 blah. Right? I'll give up more to get him. He doesn't care. When pride gets in the way, and I think we're seeing pride with James and pride with Daryl Morey now. I really do. I think it's both of them.
If it's pride on Morey's part, then his superiors need to tell him, hold up, check yourself at the front door.
Agreed.
This is out of control. Put aside your personal feelings and get this done any way, shape, or form. James Harden told you back in July exactly what his stance was.
Yep.
Did the organization in any way, shape, or form think that time heals all wounds, as the old saying goes? This wound is constantly festering. There is no tourniquet. There is no stitches that can sew this wound up. There is no modern medical technology that can put a bandage on this wound. This is an open sore. It's not going to heal unless you move this man. Yeah. You should have moved him a long time ago. But see, James messed it up by taking the stance that he did because, as I said back in July and August, when he opened his mouth and said, I am emphatically not playing for this team, any potential suitor said, you know what, we have the Sixers right where we want them because we don't have to negotiate on fair ground with them. We have the upper hand. How bad do you want to move them?
You're exactly
sorry,
right.
This is all we got to offer for you. I can't do this. No, we can't do that. Do you really want to move them? Take it or leave it.
Yeah, you're right. You are right, sir. All right. So a couple things. JT Real Muto has been named a finalist for the Gold Glove, the Rawlings Gold Glove Award at catcher. So well deserved, considering his defensive exploits. Also, Julio Jones meeting with the media, Derek, as we speak. And Eagles fans will eat this up. He says he'll do whatever the team needs him to do, but also notes, I'm here to dominate. Don't get it twisted.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Good for you. I like that mindset. All right. Let's see you do it. Let's see you do it. How many times we see a lot of players talk the talk, and then once you walk the walk, take baby steps. Who knows? Maybe he can. I guarantee you one thing: if he starts becoming a primary target, I expect the cameras to hone in on the sideline again and catch certain people frustrated. That's the last thing you want.
I agree with you. So, there's two things to pop up for me. One, if there was still a lot of gas left in the tank, why wasn't he on a roster anywhere?
Yep.
Right. And okay, maybe teams just misjudged what happened last year. Okay. In Tampa, whatever. And the other thing is he might dress this week.
Okay. You can put in a few routes for him. That might work. When you as a coaching staff sit down and you start sizing up the pluses and minuses of who you're about to face, you bring in a guy with the wealth of experience like a Julio, you can automatically have him run 2 or 3 different routes in a crash course. Remember, a lot of offenses are similar. It's just a different terminology. It doesn't take that long for them to pick up the terminology. And they may make a mistake, like a false start somewhere along the line, but you can correct those in games. There might be some simple routes that he can run where he could possibly dominate. Now, I don't think if he catches the ball 2 or 3 times, that's considered domination. If he gets 10, 12, 15 catches for $150 and helps his team win, oh, yeah, that's domination. But I can't see that out of the gate. Not in a game like this. This is a fast-track game. And I can't see them giving him more than simple plays to get himself acclimated. Now, next week, you open up the playbook even more so. But for this week, if he plays, which is interesting considering he's been sitting at home all this time, and you might throw him in the mix right away.
Well, I mean, Quez. So you have Quez right now on the IR. Yeah, if I'm Zacchaeus, I'm kind of saying like,
hey, what about me?
What about me? Give me a little chance here. But maybe like it's just a red zone package or something else you give Julio and he gets 3 snaps. It could be something that's simple.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think he would be a big addition to help fixing their red zone inconsistencies. Big body, sure-handed, runs a great route tree when he runs. I could definitely see him being that additional red zone threat. But we won't know until Sunday night. And if it's not more fluid Sunday night, it's the same old questions we're talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday through Friday next week. What is wrong with this red zone offense?
Right. I know I'm going back, ping-ponging back and forth, but back to the Sixers. Joel Embiid said he's feeling better and he plans to play in the preseason finale and said he didn't know why James Harden isn't there. Now, the reason I bring the last part of it up is something that you mentioned earlier, and we've talked about quite a bit. What's going to happen is, and I, by the way, I agree with Keith. I think the better thing is for James Harden just to stay away than come here and just take out a flame torch. But the problem is these guys are going to be asked about it, and it's going to get old. Especially you lose a game. Hey, would you have won if James Harden played? Do you miss James Harden? What's going on? And these guys are like, dude, I'm just trying to play. I'm trying to win. I'm playing with the guys who are here. That stuff gets old to a player. It gets old to a coach after a while. And this is part of what you're dealing with right now. This is why this should have been taken care of before we got to this point, Derek. I just, to me, Daryl Morey's done a very poor job since he's gotten here. He hasn't made a difference. With this team.
No,
since he's gotten here.
No. When sometimes you got to know what's that old song? Got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Sometimes you got to punt, man. I mean, honestly, and if it means you're going to get a little bit less than you anticipated getting, so be it. I feel like we're at that point. Like, it seems like Morey is still dug in. He either is still dug in that I have to get this value and I'm not budging, or I really hope James just sticks around and we can kind of play out the year with him. Like, neither one seem feasible here to me.
I think it's more so, are we getting value on the dollar? I think it's more so that. But when you go back to all of the rumors we heard about them negotiating with Phoenix and the Clippers and Cleveland and how those teams bowed out real quick, it told me one thing: the Sixers are asking for way too much in return. And number two, there has to be some hesitancy in those teams' parts. Do we really want James Harden here based on his recent track history? Not just in Philadelphia, but getting out of Houston, getting out of Brooklyn, and now trying to get his way out of Philadelphia. Do we really need this here?
Right.
Because you look at all three of those teams are playoff caliber teams.
It's true.
You don't want somebody coming in and being disruptive, because then that media and that fan base is coming down on you. It looks good. Hey, when James Harden was traded from Brooklyn to here, man, people were applauding the Sixers left and right. Great move. We were among them. Great move. Get James Harden here. All of a sudden, it slowly deteriorated just like it did other places.
I'm awake. Are you? Well, Simmons did recently say he wants to come back. No,
it ain't happening.
Can we preemptively just nip that one? No, thank you. Okay. No. But I did get a kick. I said this to Tone yesterday. I got a kick out of what the Nets social media people, because he had like 8 points against the Sixers in a preseason game. He's back. Oh, he's back. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. I'll believe it when I see it. I believe it when I see it. But yeah, no, it's It's a situation where the Sixers have painted themselves into a corner, and now they can't move. Now you're just kind of looking around like, all right, I can't really do anything. Nobody wants them, and we want value back. Everybody knows we have to trade them. No one knows it's a mess.
Exactly, man.
Here you go, and we're caught in this no man's land. All right, let's get a timeout here, D-Gun, and we come back. We'll talk to our guy, the Brooksy, the pork chop, BCB, Barrett Brooks himself will be joining the program when we come back. We'll talk Eagles. We'll talk NFL. We'll talk about his new look, the whole nine. We'll do all those kind of things when we come back. If we have time at the end, we will still do our traditional birthdays and movies. If we can get them in. If we don't, we don't. That's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take. We'll be right back with Barrett Brooks.
I remember getting my heart broken when they lost the Super Bowl in 2004. We were big Eagles fans. We moved to South Philly because of the Eagles. When they won, we went straight to Broad Street, and everybody was going nuts over there, and it was just a memory that you'll never forget.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Since 1977, it's always been about you, the community, at Rafferty Subaru. And through the Subaru Love Promise, we prove we care by supporting charities like So Good Now.
So Good Now helps kids in under-resourced areas by connecting them with student athletes to serve as mentors. We remove barriers so athletes can help youth in the corners of our communities where light and love are needed most.
When you choose Rafferty Subaru, you help organizations like So Good Now.
It's all about you at Rafferty Subaru.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
For the big story on Action News,
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES. Eagles.
All right, I haven't been able to say this in a very, very long time, but we are joined by our guy, our buddy. I call him Skinny B. That's what I call him now. Barrett Brooks. Look at you, man. You
Look
are
at
good, my man.
fellas. What's going on, man? Yeah, I had to shed a couple LBs, man. How's it going?
Dude,
Looking
I'm
good,
telling
man.
you look great. We were flipping around. Maybe it was a pregame on Sunday, right? And Maggie and I are on the couch, and Maggie's like, "Whoa, look at Barrett! He looks awesome. So you get the love from the female demographic, Barrett. She's digging the look, man.
Yeah, I lost 92, man. 92, bro. So,
Nice.
you know, health is wealth, man. Health is definitely wealth.
I told you stop eating White Castles. Look what it would do for you. I tried to tell you this.
I hate to say you're right about that, but
Oh, okay. We've come a long way. Oh my God. All right. Yes.
a long way, man. I can't do the White Castles anymore, man. It'll tear me up, bro. So sad day. It was a sad day when I ate the White Castles. It was a sad day that my body said no, not no, but hell no.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's well. You know what though? You're a better man for it, Barrett, and we miss you. First off, and thanks for hanging with us. We appreciate it.
Definitely.
Give me your. Let's start with the last game because Derek and I weren't too thrilled with the way it went down. But you know, whether it was the play calling, letting a bad team hang around, you know, the way it kind of shook out, and just that loss to the Jets. What's your best assessment of what happened?
Most disappointing thing is I saw a Jets team that wanted it more than we did. They wanted to win. They wanted to kick our tail, and that's what they did. They wanted to out-physical us. They weren't worried about winning or losing. They just wanted to whip us physically. They rallied around their coach and kissed everybody on our squad 11 times when they were on the field. And that's what it was. You know what I mean? It's sad to say that I would have never thought that I would have, you know, say that about this Eagles team, because this Eagles team is talented. You know, this is by far the most talented Eagles team I've seen in a while. It's just, you know, even more talented than last year. But they wanted it more than this Eagles team. So, I mean, nothing I can say about that. I mean, you know, kudos to their coach. Kudos to them going out there and imposing their will on us and making it happen. I mean, of course, there are things that, you know, we could have done better. I mean, Lane Johnson, once he left the game, it went at anyways on the offensive side of the ball because we couldn't protect the quarterback. You know, say what you want to say. Once Lane went down, you've got to help your right tackle. And Driscoll just is not that good of a player to go one-on-one and try to run the same offense that you ran when Lane was there. That's the bottom line. That's what it is.
Barrett, I had said in a number of ways, the Eagles were lucky to be 5-0. When you look at some of the trends across the board that got them to 5-0, when you look at least three of those games, certain plays could have decided the outcome differently. And when you have certain trends that are consistent like that, those could be prolonged problems down the road. And then we saw things even more exposed in this Jets game. I didn't think the Jets could hold this team from scoring a point in the last 2+ quarters. The turnovers, the inefficiency in the red zone. And the red zone in particular, I'm just shocked by this. What are you seeing in terms of their lack of execution in the red zone?
I think it's more so, you know, it's play selection has a lot to do with that. A lot to do with them trying to protect Jalen Hurts and not wanting him to run as much, you know, and I understand that. You know, you just can't open your full book of plays because you want to protect your quarterback. So, you know, we're not running the same things we ran last year. We ran a lot of QB draws, QB powers, you know, things of that nature in which we highlighted his skill set of being able to run. Right. They're a little more hesitant to run those type of plays now because they understand it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a long season. We got a bunch of so at this point you don't want to get them beat up right now. But you expect some results if you're not running some plays that got you results that you had last year. But also, you know, new play callers, you know, new guys, you know, calling the plays. You know, say you want to say Brian, he was here last year. They ran the office, but he wasn't the offensive coordinator. He wasn't calling plays every single play. So now you have a new guy who's learning his players, learning what he does right, what he does wrong, and being more detailed on how he can use these weapons that he has effectively. I mean, it's hard. You know, we by far have the most talented team in the NFL. You know what I mean? As far as receivers, tight end, running back, quarterback, and offensive line. I mean, there's by far, I don't think there's a more talented team, even more talented than the 49ers, even more talented than the Chiefs, even more talented than the Bills. You name it, we have a better team. But it's just about getting those things on the right page, getting those things going in the right direction. So I think that's the biggest thing. In the red zone, we got to have better play selection, and we can't continue to keep we can't continue to keep Jalen Hurts with his hands tied behind his back. Let him be who he is. he can govern them that he doesn't hurt himself. You know, he'll get down like he's been doing, but you still got to run those plays in order to keep these wins going, because we're about to hit a gauntlet of great teams, and we got to be ready to play just as hard as them. Now, I know that we will not play down to the level of competition like we did this last game with the Jets. Now these guys will be ready to go. They're going to be ready to go against a Miami team, a Bills team, a Chiefs team, a 49ers. They'll be ready to rock and roll against Dallas. And that'll be the difference, in the effort you'll see going into these next couple games.
Barry, let me ask you about the defensive side. I don't mean the defensive line, which has been really good. I mean the back end. Like, is this sustainable to hold up against those teams you're talking about with the talent level they have, inexperienced, banged up, et cetera? I mean, what do you do here to overcome that? Do they make a move? What happens?
Got to make a move, because Blankenship is our best safety. And I mean, we're talking about a free agent safety that made the squad last year and is now starting for us. Not saying anything about Blake. Reed is a smart player. He knows how to play this game. I love how he plays. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about us having a bona fide starting safety back there. We don't have that big play guy. We have a guy that's very consistent in Blankenship. Blankenship plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. He doesn't take any false steps. He makes his reads. He's reactive. He gets guys in the right places. But we don't have that big time guy back there that, like a honey badger or somebody that can go make plays. We have a bunch of guys back there. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of guys back there, but you don't have the week in, week out guys playing there every single week. It's been musical chairs. I mean, last game, we had one starting DB on the field in the fourth quarter. Yep. And that was Brad. There were no other starters. We had all free agents starting for us. All free agents were out on the field with the exception of Bradbury. All free agents. So it's tough, it's tough to really go out there. And I just got to take my hat off to the side. The side has put together a defense that's, the Jets didn't do anything against us. Mm-hmm. We held a running game. We held a running game to under 100 yards. He did everything to stop. And that's a major reason why I was kind of disappointed also, because if Jalen shouldn't have thrown that pick, we know that was just a bad pass. Right. But I didn't have a problem with punting to them and having them try to take this team, 60 yards, 70 yards. I mean, they wouldn't be able to do that, and Hassan Reddick was starting to heat up too. And, the big fella, Big Davis, was heating it up. They wouldn't have been able to score against us, So I thought we'd have won that game. Number one, if we wouldn't have missed that field goal, which blew me away, because then we'd be up by 5 instead of 2. And they'd had, and you really think that they'd be able to drive down and score a touchdown on us? No. And Wilson, the receiver, was out also. The game would have been a wrap. It'd have been a wrap.
Hey, Barrett, has Jalen Carter been everything we thought he would be and then some?
Bro, he is a top 5. You hear me? A top 5 defensive tackle right now in the NFL. Top 5, no question. His ability to go out there and play at the level he's playing. And mind you, you got to understand, he's playing like a veteran player. He understands what the offenses are trying to do to him. He understands how to take on blocks, double teams. He hits the post guy and then throws his butt in the way so he doesn't get moved by the guy that's supposed to displace him. He knows how to play the game, and he's playing at such a high level that I'm just shocked that we got him in pick number 9. I mean, I'm serious. He was seriously the best player in college last year. No question. No question.
And Barry, stay with his partner there. The growth of Davis from year 1 to year 2, man. I mean, you're seeing him effective in the pass game and the run game. He has really taken his game to that complete level.
He is playing like a monster. You can't move him. If he doesn't want to be moved, he will not be moved. He's getting jumped. He's getting penetration, not just on run plays, but on pass plays also. He is deboing people. He's throwing people around. This is what I envisioned Davis doing when we first drafted him. It took him a year to get here, but he is here now. Mm-hmm. There's no question, that, when you got those 3 guys in there, you're not running against us. You're not doing that. You're not moving us anywhere we don't want to be moved. And with the way he's playing, the way, that Carter's playing, and Fletcher Cox, drinking that concoction he's drinking or whatever the fountain of youth or whatever he's got going on, it's going to be hard for you to really do things up front against this Eagles team. And then, the linebacker position is a lot better than I thought they was going to be. Yeah. Morrow and and also Dean are playing well, which really shocked. These guys are playing well. So this defense, once they get that secondary, locked down and stop playing musical chairs, because injuries just killing us right now, we could have a really special defense.
Do you think Slay's lost a step?
No, they just can't use them the way they want to use them right now. Slay is just as much. Slay comes to playing defense against. They hate him because he's so talented. He's still got that step. They just haven't used him like they used him last year. He travels every once in a while with the best receiver. Usually they can't really do that because Josh Jobe has been playing. And at this point he's not ready to be a full-time starter. He can come in and spell you, but he's not a full-time starter right now. So it's really hard for them to run a defense that they want to run. It's really hard for them.
Barrett, what do you do? And I'm not going to say stop. What do you do to contain this Miami offense, man? I mean, what McDaniel's drawing up, Tua, the Cheetah, Mostert. I mean, they're running wild on everybody here. What do you do to slow this thing down?
Tough, because you got to think about this. They already have a game plan against playing too deep. When you play too deep, you try to rally around, and keep, the Cheetah from getting behind you. But when you do that, they move them around so much in motion and line them up in a slot. They don't let you get an accurate beat on where he's going to be, which makes it hard to double team him or bracket coverage him. So, I think the best thing they can do is play a matchup zone. It becomes your zone, latch onto him. So you can't play too high also because then they run the ball against you. And Mostert's just as fast as the Cheetah. So it's really hard, and I want to see how they're going to do that against Tua. Do you light them up? You send a blitz. They're going to have to blitz him and just hope that whoever ends up with the Cheetah and Waddle, he's not open instantly so Tua can get him the ball. It's almost like you got to play tight on him, but not let him run away from you. So it's going to be hard, but I mean, as far as talented, the guys up front got to be a major, major difference. And Davis, even when you're not getting there, you got to use your size to knock balls down. Crush the pocket and knock balls down. It's not necessarily going in and tackling Tua or sacking Tua. It's more so getting your hands up and stopping those passing lanes and clog them passing lanes up so he can't see over or he can't just get the quick pass out to those weapons that he has.
Hey, what's your assessment of Brian Johnson so far as a play caller?
He's learning. That's all I'm gonna say. He's learning. He showed great sense of what he needed to do against the Minnesota Vikings, where he said, "All right, we're not gonna pass it. We're gonna run the ball. You're gonna drop all these guys out." And I was shocked because we didn't do it against the Jets because that's what the Jets did. Yep. They dropped everybody, and so all right, you beat us, Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? But instead, he didn't run the ball. And we're talking about a defense that's ranked 29th in the NFL. How do you not run against a defense? You know why? And I told you it was a double-edged sword because they had 4 DBs that were out.
Yep.
And we're gonna use our weapons we're gonna pass the ball. And you totally didn't use our biggest strength, and that's our offensive line teeing off on them, especially with the starting right tackle not being there. Yep. Let's tee off on them. Let's hit them in the mouth, and let's play some run football. We'd have won the game instantly then. It wouldn't have been close because we're teeing off, we're going forward, and we'll wear them down. And it wouldn't have been close then, So I just think that he had a great call against Minnesota, but he dropped the ball against the Jets.
Yeah, and Barrett, you pointed out, we were talking about this earlier. Like if you're Driscoll and you see that he's struggling in pass protection, man, see what it looks like at least with running it, a little bit heavier. I'm sure you guys much prefer run blocking than pass blocking. You're on the attack. It just didn't make any sense.
Bro, Rob. I'm going to say this is almost like me cussing. 14 runs with a running back in the game.
Yep.
That is a travesty. That's like cussing me out. Mm-hmm. We ran the ball 14 times.
Yep.
A running back against the Jets, which defense was ranked 29th on stopping the run. I almost threw up in my mouth, bro. I can't believe that.
I can't believe it either.
You kidding? Are you kidding me? I was so, man, my clothes wasn't touching me nowhere. I was hot as fish grease, man. 14 times? I get mad thinking about it.
I haven't got a hottest fish grease in a while. I needed it, man. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. That's awesome.
That's ridiculous. We got a running back that can easily get 100 yards and Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you. Yeah, it's you know what? It felt like the old Andy would lose his mind sometimes. Andy Reid run like crazy, get back to pass like crazy, get back to running it, and everything would straighten itself out. It had the same feel to it. It really did.
It absolutely did, and it didn't make any sense. And I'm surprised that the offensive line didn't go over there and cuss him out. I mean, yo, man, what's going on? Yo, hey, come on. I mean, Kel just cussing about that the week before.
He was.
And then you drop the ball the next game.
AB, they used Swift in a running feature 28 times in one game. But I've said for a guy like that, you keep him running at 15, 18 range touches. And I don't necessarily mean just runs, but touches, period. Because you look at the damage he can do once he gets in open space. I don't want to see them overuse him. Now, there's games that you're going to have to ride him. But I think if you can keep him right in there at 15, 18, 20 touch, that's a perfect number for him and can still be very effective in his offense.
You're absolutely right, D-Gun. You're absolutely right. But I tell you what, this last game, didn't have to take a shower at all. Yeah. Boston Scott shower at all. They didn't sweat because they didn't run the rock, bro. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. I mean, they didn't have to take a shower. They went, took their pads off, and got straight into their street clothes because they did not run the ball. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even take a shower. All they had to do was brush their teeth and got on the bus.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah. Yep. Barry, you're getting a lot of love from the friends in the chat. They love seeing you, my man, and we love spending some time with you. It's awesome, and by the way, you're crushing it, man. You're doing a great job on NBC Sports.
Always.
Philadelphia. And looking good. He's GQ. But you can check him out on Twitter and X at bbrooks72 NBCS. Barry, so tell me everything you're involved in pre and post there, and what else? You got other stuff going on as well?
First Huddle from 6 to 6:30 on NBC Sports Philadelphia. I do Eagles pre-post game show for NBC Sports Philadelphia, but I also do on the weekends. I do college football. This weekend I will be in Cincinnati. Bearcat. That's in that game Saturday. Be on at 12 o'clock Central Time. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I had to remind him who I was, Rob, when I talked to him this morning. Just to make sure he didn't forget my name and stuff. See, I'm just saying.
Man.
What do you call you, Daryl? I think he called you Daryl.
Yeah.
Daryl. I mean, not Dennis. Derek. I mean, what are you talking about, man?
All right, Brooksy, you're the best, man. It's good seeing you as always, my friend. All right.
Be good, bro.
Take care, B. All right, brother. Thanks.
I said, what's up?
Yeah, we all the best, pal.
We'll do.
He is a great human being, man. That's my guy, Barrett Brooks. Always give great insight. So I needed a fish grease reference. We hadn't had one in a while, D-Gun. So we got one.
We missed the though. We didn't get the out.
Yes. All right. So let's do some birthdays. We do have time to do birthdays.
Word.
All right. We'll start with Zac Efron, actor. Been in a ton of stuff. He is 36 years old. He's got a wrestling movie coming out next. He looks all jacked up in it. Jean-Claude Van Damme is 63 today. Is Jean-Claude. Chuck Berry, the great guitarist, singer, rocker.
Beethoven.
Oh God, I mean, so many with Chuck Berry. But he was born on this day, 1926. Lindsey Vonn, the great skier, is 39 years old today. Dawn Wells, Derek. Dawn Wells, Marianne.
Yeah.
From Gilligan's Island. Marianne and Ginger were the two on the island there. Peter Boyle. Yep. Peter Boyle, the actor. Good actor. Born on this day. He's a Philadelphia guy. Born on this day, 1935. Peter Boyle. George C. Scott. Very intense actor. Played Patton. Born on this day, 1927. Erin Moran, who played Joni in Happy Days, passed away, unfortunately, but she was born on this day, 1960. Neo is 44 years young today. Yep. Pam Dauber, who played Mindy in Mork and Mindy, alongside Robin Williams. Martina Navratilova, the great tennis player, is 67 years old today. Mike Ditka. He is 84. Jeez, Ditka's 84 today. Joe Morton, the actor, is 76 years old today. Thomas the Hitman Hearns, the Motor City Cobra, D-Gun. He is 65 today.
Champion in 5 different weight classes.
He was a bad man, Thomas Hearns. Wynton Marsalis, the great musician, is 62 years old today.
One of the best trumpeters ever.
Incredible. Whole family is scary talented. Frida Pinto, the actress, is 39 years old today. Alex Cora of the Boston Red Sox, 48 years old today. Terrence Mann, we talked about him earlier. He is still a Clipper. Apparently, he is the eye, the apple, one of the apples of Daryl Morey's eyes, but he's still a Clipper. He's 27 today. Jonas Cespedes, the old baseball player, is 38 years old today. Chuck Lorre, big time TV producer, is 71 today. Guy you know very well, Derek. Forrest Gregg. Forrest Gregg is born on this day, 1933.
Yes, indeed.
Great Packer player and coach as well. That's all I have for birthdays. What else do you have?
Let's see. Howard Shore, composer, did all the hit scores for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Is 77. Klaus Kinski, who born on this day in 1926, Wrath of God. He did 130 films in a 40-year career.
Whoa,
over 130.
Wow.
Bristol Palin, the daughter of Sarah Palin. She's a public speaker. She is 33 on this day. Let's see here. Who else we got over here? We got Willie Horton, a former Major League outfielder, is 81 today. Wow. Former NBA player Derek Coleman, 33 today. Rachel Nichols, ESPN and other platforms.
Where she is now, but yeah, formerly ESPN. Yep.
She's 50 today.
Okay.
Arliss Howard, great actor that played Full Metal Jacket, The Last World, Jurassic Park, 69. Former Virginia Tech football coach who was there from 87 to 2015, Frank Beamer, 77 on this day.
Okay.
And Calvin Lockhart, who was an incredible actor, was born on this day in 1934. He was in the movies Cotton Comes to Harlem and Let's Do It Again.
Okay. All right. Good list. Good list there of birthdays. All right. Movies. 2013, 12 Years a Slave.
Yep.
We got a couple great ones out of the chute. West Side Story was 1961.
Yes, sir.
Phenomenal. And a couple that was remade not all that long ago. West Side Story, but anyway, Zombieland 2019. Woody Harrelson and crew. The Ring 2002. Escape Plan, good movie. 2013. It's really all that caught my eye from the movies. You had other.
The Carrie remake. I love the original movie.
The original's great. Yeah.
The remake came out in 2013. I think this was the second of the movie, which was a good movie called Maleficent. This one was Mistress of Evil, came out in 2019. The remake, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Let's Do the Time Warp Again, 2016, and 2014 Finders Keepers.
Okay.
Yep.
So a couple things on Julio Jones. He was asked, I don't know. It's hard to know exactly what the context is, but it seems like he was asked a lot of questions about how much do you have left in the tank. And he was basically like, let's revisit that question, but you guys will wait and see. So Julio's not short on any confidence. I will tell you that. He's ready to roll.
The questions are valid. I mean, you've been sitting out here all this long. You've been on 4 different teams in 4 years. You're 34. So, I mean, those are valid questions. You played 9, 10, and 10 games the last 3 years. It's a valid question. Yeah. But you're right. I would like to see his facial expression when he answered the question. Yeah. Was he offended by it? Did he find it humorous? Along those lines. But I mean, those are valid questions.
Well, they are. That's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying he was in any way, shape, or form annoyed or whatever, but he shouldn't be if he was, because it's real. I mean, you're 34 years old. You weren't with the team to start the season. You're right asking that question. So we'll see. And we'll see if he plays this week. Look, it's going to be a wild one Sunday night, Derek. And as you said a little bit earlier, you're hearing good things on, correct me if I'm wrong, you're hearing good things on Slay and Carter.
Yep.
And coming back, still up in the air right now with Lane and Sidney Brown.
Yeah,
right?
50-50 on those two as we sit here today. Yep.
Yeah, certainly need them both, man. That's for sure. But I would think, and we'll get more into this. We have Chris Franklin joining us tomorrow from NJ.com. But we'll get Chris's take on all this. But I would think the game plan's got to be keep the ball away from Tua in that offense and try to run the ball as much as possible. But
got to.
We'll see. So Philly's off day today. They will travel to Arizona for 3 games there. Games 3, 4, and if necessary, 5 are all at Arizona. Ranger Suarez tomorrow. We'll dive more into that. We'll try and get somebody from out there to talk about to preview game 3. That's a 5:07 start Eastern tomorrow. So you get the earlier game tomorrow. As far as the ALCS, they're back in action tonight. Texas is up 2-0 on Houston. I'll tell you, they lose that one, it's over. They lose that. Goodbye. That'll be a straight up sweep if Houston loses this one tonight.
I'm shocked. I thought Houston was coming back to the World Series, but Texas, man, I'm telling you, all those moves that they made this summer really paid off.
Yeah, they are nasty. Texas is the real deal. All right, that'll do it for us. I want to thank our guy Tone DeShields. Tone, excellent job as always. Thanks, Tone. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are the best. Everybody streaming, everybody listening as well. Don't go anywhere because you have the National Football Show coming your way with Dan Cilio, and Derek and I are back at the same time tomorrow. So everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it.